What's going on, YouTube? What's going on, Facebook? I appreciate you guys so much for being here. And I wanted to talk about the inflation today, why it's here, because I think a lot of people are lying about why our inflation's here. And this is the thing. I think with politics or America, if you just lie about why it's here, you never solve it. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. So, I'm going to talk about that real quick. And then I want to ask you guys, it should be a positive, interactive show. I want to ask you guys what you think is a good hedge against inflation, because I'm not the greatest financial expert. So I would love to hear your opinions. I know people say real estate. Some people are interested in gold and silver. Some people like the cryptocurrencies. So I just want to hear why you think these things are good hedges against inflation. And we'll have a conversation and debate. And hopefully we don't argue too much. I mean, I do want to hear your opinion, but sometimes it gets a little weird here. I apologize, but sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it's not. We'll see. First thing I want to show you guys as you're coming in, I know it's backwards. I apologize on Facebook. This is Cointelegraph, but they printed, this is 11 months ago. The United States printed more money in 1 month than they printed in 2 centuries. So we printed more money in 1 month than we printed in the early founding of the country. And then this is just like a Reddit, graph, but I think it's referencing something else. Just money counter on a website called Fred. It says 35% of all US dollars in existence have been printed in the last 10 months. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but in 2020, because of the coronavirus pandemic, we just started printing more money than we've ever printed before. And it seems like nobody wants to talk about it. It seems like, the left wing doesn't care. And it seems like the right wing is trying to pretend like it's only the left who did it when this really happened in 2020. So, I don't say this to be edgy. I debated somebody yesterday. I want to keep this positive, but people think I'm doing this to be like trendy or edgy, or I'm trying to get a rise out of people. It's just the truth. I guess like the truth bothers people and they would rather think they're fighting like the other side and, really winning because their guys are telling them. But if you want to get to the bottom of inflation, I think we really have to talk about why it's here. And then at the end, we'll talk about things that we could do and try to find some positive solutions to hedging against this obvious incoming inflation. So that's it. And I got my guy here. I don't know if you guys noticed this over here. He's not my guy particularly, but this is Thomas Massie. This was one of the only congressmen who actually saw this all coming in March, and he got treated very, very poorly by not just Democrats, but Republicans as well. And I want to listen to this because I think it's a very, I don't know if prophetic is the word, but in March of 2020, when all of your congressmen, all of your favorite politicians on the left and the right were setting you up for the inflation that's happening now, Thomas Massie pointed it out, said it would be the biggest mistake in modern history. And we got to listen to this because this is history in the making. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate y'all. What's going on, Crystal? Thank you. And I'm sorry, people that I've argued with on here. I know it's an interactive show. Someone said arguing's awesome. Some people like it, but I never like to hurt people's feelings and stuff. So some people, emailed me and said like this and that. They're sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to argue, but I do feel strongly about certain stuff. And I think people who watch, they get it. I'm just tired of losing. Everybody wants to make an excuse for why it's happening. Well, here's a crazy idea. What if we stopped talking about all these other countries and we focused on America, okay? And we solved our own problems. I'm just tired of like making excuses for losing. But speaking of that, I am working on solutions myself. Before we start, a few things. USAProductsOnly.com. We have 161 businesses now. So we're planning to add thousands of businesses. If you check out USAProductsOnly.com, dozens of them, probably most of them are businesses of people who follow me. We're taking recommendations. We have a contact form. So if you think your business should be added there, hit us up. How we add them to USAProductsOnly.com. I look at each of them individually, and I look at how many sales have they done. Is their website good? Do they have good reviews on Facebook, on Google, on Etsy, if they have an Etsy? So we're trying to add businesses that can prove that they're making sales. We do actually reject a lot of businesses because, we just look at them and we think, okay, well, they're not as good as the other ones and they can't prove they've sold as much. So, we try to do as good of a vetting process as we can on USAProductsOnly.com. And it's really just an aggregate. You click onto their website. They keep 100% of the profit. We got woodworkers, toy makers. We're trying to promote USA-made businesses, made in the USA businesses, and especially people that use most or all of their resources in the United States. So check out USAProductsOnly.com. That's a solution me and my friends are working on to get USA businesses more service and to create hopefully the biggest hub when it's all said and done of online United States made businesses. It's a fun venture. And even if we never get anything back, knowing that we at least helped some USA businesses, it's been great. So it's a win-win. Even if it flops from this point on, hopefully it doesn't. We've already had an impact, and that's awesome. Also, I have a clips channel. If you check clips on Facebook and YouTube, I have my YouTube clip channel. I did an interview on Instagram. It was spontaneous with Bryson Gray, the hip hop artist, conservative hip hop artist. So I'm going to post that on my clips channel later, not my main channel. If you want to watch that, subscribe to my clips channel and I'll promote that. All right. So let's get to the story real quick. So we're going to talk about at the end, if you stay with me for 5-10 minutes, what can we do about inflation? Because we're all about solutions. So, some people like gold, some people like silver, some people like, buying real estate. Some people like the cryptocurrencies. I really want to hear and make this an interactive show at the end, because I want to hear not just what you think is going to be a hedge against inflation, but why. So just give me 5 or 10 minutes or so, and then I'll take all your opinions and I'll read them out loud. But this is a CPI report. CNBC said inflation climbs higher than expected in June as price index rises 5.4%. Consumer prices increased 5.4% in June earlier this year, the biggest monthly gain since August of 2008. Excluding food and energy, inflation increased, 4.5%, the largest move since September of 1991. So, inflation is hitting and it's blowing their mind. They're like, it's higher than we thought. It's not higher than I thought it would be. In fact, I pray that America doesn't end up like Venezuela, because I thought we used to understand at one point in American conservative culture, we understood that you can't just print money. Andrew Yang wants to print money. AOC wants to print money, trillions of dollars. Where are you getting it from? It's either coming from our taxpayer dollars, right? They're either taking our tax money to use it for their endeavors, or they're printing money, which inevitably will screw us over too, because you can't just print money or else the currency's not worth as much. So I thought we knew that, but apparently, and this is really bothering me. I know it's going to bother some people on here. Some people are going to like it, but what's so frustrating, and I figured it out. I don't complain about the Democrats that much. It's not because I agree with them. I don't expect them to do anything for me. I don't expect Joe Biden or AOC. We don't agree, and I agree to disagree. It's the Republican Party who pretends to be conservative. It's the Republican Party who pretends to stand up for your values. It's the Republican Party who pretends to, fight the deficit. And it was the Republican Party who was at the helm of the country and at the helm of the Senate when they all green-lighted and thumbs up all this money printing. This is Cointelegraph, but they accurately reported U.S. printed more money in 1 month than 2 centuries. That was before Biden got into office. This is 35% of all U.S. dollars in existence were printed in 10 months. And the helm of that, I know this is CNN, and I know you guys hate CNN, but you can find this in Fox and Breitbart because it really happened. Trump signs a historic $2 trillion stimulus after Congress passed it Friday. So Trump signed the most expensive bill in recent history until whatever stupid one Biden signs. I mean, this was all going to happen. Inflation doesn't take a month. It doesn't take 2 months. Sometimes it takes years. Sometimes it takes even more than that. But this is annoying me so much. I'm watching all these Republicans, Marjorie Taylor Greene, all of them, pretty much all your favorite Republicans. They're like, oh, man, it's the Biden inflation. It's Biden's inflation. It's like, no, dum-dums. You're responsible. You're complicit. Your party also signed off on this. And this is why people get so mad at me. They say, Anomaly, no, we're fighting the radical left. You're not fighting the radical left. You have a bunch of posers and a bunch of phonies wearing cowboy hats, pretending to fight the radical left while they become the radical left. And they're never going to stop because you guys cheer them on thinking they're fighting the deep state or something. They're not. They're printing money. They're in on it. They did this. This did not start with Biden. Is Biden going to help you? Of course not. This started with Trump. This started with McConnell. This started with McCarthy. They all wanted it. They all thumbs up. And this was the one guy. I want to play the clip real quick. This is Thomas Massey. This is the only Republican that took a stand against what they were doing. Listen to what he said in March, because it's very interesting.
Congressman, both sides of the chamber didn't to let you do this recording.
Sorry, it's so quiet.
Well, they didn't even give me a minute to speak in a 4-hour debate. There's a big cover-up in there.
It's a cover-up, sir.
Well, they're trying to cover up their votes. They had enough people there to pass the bill, but they still refused to have a recorded vote. And they told me they were trying to protect members.
Don't you believe that that's the case? There's 435 members in a room that can't hold that many.
No. They're trying to protect the members who are there from political ramifications.
There are both sides of the chamber, your side as well as the Democrats, as well as the White House, have said that they didn't want you to do this. Why press forward into a bill that everybody agrees should be passed?
Like I said in there, I came here this week to make sure our republic doesn't die in an empty chamber by unanimous consent. These people need to do their jobs. If they're telling people to drive a truck, if they're telling people to bag groceries and grow their food, then by golly, they can be in there and they can vote. And that's what we did this week. They came, and you can see it didn't delay the vote any. They sat on their cans yesterday here. They didn't do a thing yesterday. They were trying to say this would delay it to have a recorded vote. The truth, if you're willing to report it, is they don't want a recorded vote. They don't want to be on record of making the biggest mistake in history.
What's your response to Donald Trump calling you a third-rate?
All right. So then they asked him about Donald Trump calling him a third-rate Republican. So what he was explaining was important. That was the CARES Act. I'm just going to show you real quick. The CARES Act was when Trump passed a historic $2 trillion stimulus bill. I mean, that makes Andrew Yang look like Ronald Reagan, the amount of money that Trump printed. Okay. That makes AOC look like Richard Nixon. I mean, Trump is just signing off on the biggest scam in modern history. And Thomas Massie said, not only did they pass this, but the reason he was making such a scene is they were trying to not go into work. So not only were they not passing it, but they were covering up who voted yes or no. So Thomas Massie said the least you could do is go on record and say if you support this or not. But Thomas Massie said this is a cover up because they're trying to not be on record of passing the biggest mistake in modern history. So all this inflation that's coming right now is not just the Democrats. And until people want to face this and until people realize this, you're going to lose. And the reason I argue with people is because I don't care. If you care about your kids and your grandkids, stop lying about this stuff because they're going to have to suffer the consequences of a country that ends up like World War II Germany or Venezuela or Cuba. You guys cry about Cuba and Venezuela. Listen to what I'm saying unless you want to live that life in 10 years because that's what's coming because both parties are scamming you. And until you guys face that, it doesn't matter what you think because it's coming anyway. So I just want to read real quick. When Thomas Massie said that printing $2 trillion was the biggest mistake in modern history, here was the response of President Donald Trump at the time. He said, it looks like third-rate grandstander named Thomas Massie, a congressman from, unfortunately, a truly great state, Kentucky, wants to vote against the new Save Our Workers bill in Congress. He just wants the publicity. He can't stop, only delay, which is both dangerous and costly. Workers and small businesses need money now in order to survive. The virus wasn't their fault. It's hell dealing with the Democrats, and we had to give up some stupid things in order to get the big picture done. 90% great. Win back the House, but throw Thomas Massie out of the Republican Party. So not only did Trump not agree with him, Trump said kick him out of the party. How dare him stand up against this $2 trillion bill? It's to save the workers, Trump said. It's 90% good, Trump said. Save the workers by printing $2 trillion for 15 days to slow the spread, which Trump then decided to extend and lead the extension past Easter. It never ended because it was never supposed to end. Only Thomas Massie stood up against it. So the reason I say this, and we're going to get to the solution in a second and ask you guys, but I'm not backing down. I'll try to be nice. I'm not stopping. I'm not backing down. I'm not slowing down. I don't care who gets in my way because I care about the future. I care about the present moment. And this inflation that's hitting right now, you're not going to see someone said, what should we do? We're going to talk about it in a couple minutes. If you give me a couple minutes, the conservatives who say it's Biden's inflation, they don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about your family. They just want to know what dress or what shirt to wear to CPAC and TPUSA so they can impress all the Republican media and look like they're true patriots with their cowboy hats. They don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about the future. They don't give a shit about America. They don't give a shit about the currency. They care about themselves. They care about how great they look and how they look like they're a true patriot. They don't give a shit about the truth. And the truth is, it's not just Biden's inflation. Biden doesn't even know where he is, okay? He's signing off on this crap just like Trump signed off on it in 2020. This is a bipartisan inflation. This is Trump's inflation. This is McConnell's inflation. This is McCarthy's inflation. This is Pelosi's inflation. This is both parties doing this. And until you face that truth, until you stop just hoorah, we're fighting the radical left, you're not. You never will be. And your kids and your kids' kids are going to suffer. And you're going to suffer very, very soon because there is not a single party, not a single politician, besides maybe a few, that give a shit. So if you really want to do something, You have to face these truths. I'm not trying to be edgy or get a rise out of people. I'm not trying to grow up in World War I, World War II Germany. I'm not trying to grow old in a country that turns into a social hellhole like South Africa right now, where they're just, robbing places, and a fiscal hellhole like Venezuela. And that's what's happening, not because the Democrats are doing it, because the Republicans are in on it and nobody's telling you. And that includes Trump. I'm so tired of these, it's just Bill Barr, it's just Christopher Wray, it's just everybody Trump surrounds himself by. He knows, he just doesn't give a shit. So the longer you guys make excuses for why he's doing all these things he just doesn't know. No, it's just McConnell, it's just McCarthy, it's just Governor Abbott, it's everybody, just Trump. Trump's the only non-right. No, he signed off on this crap too. The longer you guys play this game, the longer you suffer, the longer your kids suffer, and the longer your kids' suffer. So once again, the inflation will get worse, not just because of the Democrats, not just because of Joe Biden, not just because of the rhinos, because of the Republican Party, because of Trump. They all signed off on your demise last year, and this is all going to set in soon. They printed more money in a year than in 2 centuries at the beginning of the founding. They printed more money in a year than 35% of all the money printed. They printed 35% of the money before Biden even got in there with a Republican president and a Republican Senate. Face the facts or your kids are going to suffer. Someone says, so you think you have all the answers? No, I don't. I'm just saying, face why how are you going to solve a problem if you can't even admit how it's happening? You can't solve any problems on the right because you're not even admitting the truth about it. It's like it's raining, but I don't want to look at the cloud above me. It's like, okay, then continue just getting drenched. It's fine. All right. So now that we've established that, and unfortunately, I'm one of the only registered Republicans willing to admit that, because that is the truth. All these other conservatives saying it's Biden's inflation, they're just actors. They're just puppets. They're just phonies. I'm not saying they're controlled op. I'm just saying they're people with egos who care more about themselves and more about their status and more about their next Fox News interview than they care about the country, the Constitution, your family, or the currency, which is devaluing. Not because of this year, because of last year as well. That was a huge printing scam last year, and the Republican Party has no plans to stop it. All right, now that we've established that, what do we do, right? Let's not cry about it forever. There's ways to hedge against inflation. I don't know how bad it's going to get. I hope it doesn't get as bad as Venezuela or Germany in World War II. I hope it doesn't get as bad as Cuba. But, I mean, I don't know. They printed a crap load of money, so I expect it to get worse. What do you guys think? Because I'm not a financial expert. What's the best way to hedge against inflation? I'm going to read it aloud and say what you think, and also give me like a reason. Say like, I think real estate because of this. I think Bitcoin because of this. I think gold and silver because of this. Let me know, and I'm going to read a bunch of answers because I'm not that financially savvy. I understand that physical things are good to own, but what do you think is the best way to hedge against inflation? Because I think I want to learn this, and a lot of people want to learn this because I have money sitting in a bank account right now, and it's probably going to keep devaluing. So, all right, Ann said gold and silver. Someone said stay out of debt. I am out of debt, luckily. Someone said don't buy high-priced stuff. Okay. Someone said gold and silver, it's undervalued currently, so it'll be worth more. Gold and silver real estate. Let's see what you guys say. Joseph said crypto. If you think crypto or something, just give me an explanation why. Because I've had crypto, I've bought, I've sold. I don't trust it, to be honest. But something about silver and gold, it's like it's just something that's sitting there. Yeah, it might have value, but I like the idea of real estate personally because it's something that I own. Yes, I pay property taxes, etc. But someone said wood and fiber. I like that too, because this is just my thought. Let me know what you guys think. Gold and silver just sits there. If you own wood, it's usable. Anything that is usable, a house, wood, lumber, I guess silver, I guess gold, but I don't know. Someone said grow your own food. I think that's always a good idea. Someone said guns. I think that's always something that, it has physical use. Land, crops. Someone said Dogecoin. I don't know. I mean, I'm open. Someone said water, food, shelter. Let's see what they're saying. Jennifer said, do not use credit cards. It's interesting, Jennifer. I've never used a credit card. Everyone says you have to use a credit card. To me, it sounds like debt. Oh, I got to go into debt so I get bonuses for stuff. I'm like, I've never used a credit card. People call me crazy. My credit's not bad. I think it's good, but I've always thought I'm never going to use money. I don't think I've ever been in debt in my whole life. I'm not in debt now. I'm not even close. But even when I was broke, I never used a credit card because I was like, that sounds like debt. but maybe I'm wrong. Don't listen to me. That's just my thought. I've never been into that. Someone said timber. Tammy said, I'm also registered and way more willing to admit it. The very same. Thank you, Tammy. I appreciate you. Jason on Facebook said, real estate land will always be worth money. I'm starting to feel that way. Someone said, insurance isn't affected by the market and has living and death benefits. Someone said, Bitcoin is good if you know what you're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. Some people don't understand it. I understand it. And here's for my crypto people, because I kind of want to have this conversation. I've had Bitcoin, I've had Ethereum, I've had Dogecoin, I've had VeChain, I've had all sorts of coins. Right now, I currently have none. But let me know why you guys believe in Bitcoin so much. I get the blockchain, I get the dynamic of it, but in my thoughts, I'm like, it's all digital. You know what I'm saying? It could be a Ponzi scheme in the sorts of like, I heard somebody talking the other day. They're like Satoshi Nakamoto or whatever, the guy who created Bitcoin. They're like, he might be sitting on 1 million coins. This was like not someone that hates him. This was like a crypto expert saying Satoshi Nakamoto, whatever that guy's name is, who created Bitcoin. We don't know who he is, and he might own 1 million coins, and nobody knows who it is. It's like, think about what you're saying. You don't know who created Bitcoin, and he might have 1 million coins, but you're not sure where they are. How do we know that that wasn't just, okay, how much is 1 million Bitcoins worth now? Like $1 billion, over $1 billion? Yeah, someone probably has that money. I don't know who it is, but what is it? Satoshi Nakamoto, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a Bitcoin hater. I've never been. I've owned it. I'm not a Bitcoin lover. I'm just digital, just like, yeah, they could just click like, oh, it's blockchain. I'm like, okay, what if they regulate it? What if they shut it down? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but someone said land. I definitely believe what you're saying. Yeah, I think land is always a good bet. Someone said central banks can keep printing money. I mean, they really screwed us last year. And let me know what you guys think, but I just can't, I really can't stomach the Republican Party anymore. I can't stomach the MAGA movement. It's not the people in it. It's not the fact that I don't like the values. I don't dislike people. I'm just so tired of these phony influencers. They're like, it's Biden's inflation. Yeah, hoorah, we're fighting in Cuba. I'm like, how are you going to save Cuba when you can't even save your own country? And by the way, with Cuba, before we get back to the solutions, I don't believe for a second that this is organic. I don't believe for a second that this is like for Cubans' freedom. I know Cuba sucks compared to America in some ways, but all the protesters are wearing masks. All the media is saying they want vaccines. I think they're doing the same thing they're doing in Cuba as they did in every other country that doesn't have Western vaccines. They're trying to get vaccines there. There was no protest in Cuba for the last 30 years that crossed mainstream media. But now all of a sudden, Joe Biden's interested in a Cuban protest and Donald Trump's interested in a Cuban protest. They don't give a shit about Cuba. They're not saving Cuba. You can't even save yourself. Your country's going to look like South Africa in 10 years. Your country's going to look like Venezuela in 10 years. And you think you're free? You're giving freedom and democracy to Cuba? What are you going to export there? Drag Queen Story Hour and some mRNA vaccines for Pfizer? It's like, focus on your own country, because this whole thing just smells fake to me. Is Cuba bad? Yes. Am I glad to be in America? Yes. Do I agree with socialism? No. Do I think the Cuban economy is suffering? Absolutely. But if people don't smell, funky on this one, it's like, it's that easy to dupe conservatives, though. It's the audit. Everyone runs this way. It's the Cuba thing. It's like, focus on your own. It's Biden's inflation. No, it's not, dummies. They're just tricking you again and again and again and again. Someone said Monero. I know John McAfee liked Monero. I saw in interviews. I think Monero is a privacy coin, so there's actually some value there if you want to keep it private. I would assume that the governments of the world hate Monero because it's a privacy coin. Anything that they can't track is like a threat. I'm not into Monero. I don't know. I just know that that's a privacy coin. See, I do my research. Someone said pirate chain. Arr, I like pirates. Let's see. Someone said, does Ron DeSantis care? I'm not going to tell you if he does or doesn't, but I don't think very many Republicans seem to care about the printing of the money. I think they care about their power and their posture of how much they're doing. But like, regardless of my opinion or your opinion or Trump's opinion or Ron DeSantis' opinion, I don't think you can just print as much money as they printed in 2020. If they're not talking about that and they're saying that it's like just Democrats doing it, I'm guessing no, they don't care. But MP said, have supplies ready to sustain yourself at least 30 days without any infrastructure, food, water, fuel, whatever kind, and have a place to go around about people you trust, land even empty. Thank you for the super chat, MP. I think it's always good to be prepared. Someone said buy a farm. Someone says Satoshi Nakamoto is translated to Central Intelligence in Japanese. I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, I'm going to go to a translator real quick. Translate. Let's see. Satoshi. That sounds fake to me, but let me see. Satoshi Nakamoto. Yeah, I don't think it translates to Central Intelligence. I think that's like a fake internet rumor. But anyway. You do know that you could purchase land with cryptocurrency. You can buy a lot of stuff with crypto. I'm rooting for crypto to be the real deal. I'm just saying I'm always just suspicious. Like, for example, I'm not like a complete dummy when it comes to crypto. I know I seem like it, but I've done a lot of research. I've bought crypto years ago. I've been in crypto for 6 years in and out. I've been early on it, but I had it honestly when Bitcoin was very cheap, and then I sold it. I should have kept it. But in general, I understand the dynamics of it, but say these cryptos, like these like little tiny ones, who owns a majority of the stake? You know, like a lot of times the people who create the coin own most of the coin. So I think it is, you know, as great as the technology is, it is sort of a Ponzi scheme. It's like, yeah, if you're the Federal Reserve, you're sitting pretty when it comes to the dollar because you could print it and you control a lot of it. When it comes to a lot of these coins, especially a lot of the smaller ones, somebody created the coin. And a lot of times, whether it's, you know, I can't speak specifics, but you guys know what they call altcoins. Somebody owns a huge stake of those, you know? And a lot of times it's the people creating it and they use it for advertising, this and that. So I don't know. I mean, I like to make money. Obviously, I don't invest in crypto to lose money. I'm just being honest. So I like the idea of being able to times 10 or times 100, but do I think it's totally legit? Not really. I don't know. I mean, China or United States, they could crack down on it. They could say Binance, you know, Binance is one of the big things. Binance is illegal. Binance is now not regulated. You know, I'm not saying they're going to do that, but with a single wave of the wand, I feel like they could really tank the price. But that's just my thought. Someone said they can take your land. Yeah, for sure. I think anything is takeable for sure, but I think land is a little bit safer, but maybe not. I'm not an expert. How did my debate go with Styx? My debate with Styx is on Thursday at like 7 a.m. my time. I debated somebody yesterday on Instagram. He was trolling me on Twitter saying anomalies, controlled op, he's a Democrat, blah, blah, blah. So I said, what's your deal, bro? And he thinks the military's in control, fighting underground battles on his behalf. So I debated him, and like most people, you know, he wasn't really prepared. He didn't have much to say in person. He was apologizing for saying stuff. He didn't really know what he's talking about. So I like the idea of Ninja Turtles fighting underground too. And I'm not even saying there's not underground bases or tunnels. I'm just saying like this whole trust the plan, like, oh, they're going to fight for us underground and surface and have this big win. It's like, I think it's kind of just what you tell yourself when you don't want to face what's going on. For example, when it comes to the currency, I'm not a doomer and a gloomer. And then we'll get back to solutions. I'm not giving up on America. I'm not giving up on the world. You know, countries that have crumbled have then risen again. So I'm not giving up. But like I see inflation is literally hitting in. It's not my theory. Like inflation is here. It's probably going to get worse. I would almost guarantee it's going to get worse, at least for a little bit. So either you prepare yourself for what's inevitable. It doesn't mean we're giving up. We're just like inflation's hitting and we should be prepared for it. But these people on the like trust the plan, all they do is instead of facing reality, they come up with a theory that sounds better. Like Nasara Gassara, wouldn't it be fun if Trump secretly owned the Federal Reserve and flipped the currency and now we're all free from the petrodollar? It's like, yeah. And it would also be fun if the Power Rangers were real and I didn't have to go to work every day. I could just go to the beach and, you know, retire today. That would be nice, but that's not the case. I do have to actually work and I do have to do stuff or else I'm going to be poor in 2 years. So it's always fun to pretend like we're winning the world, but it's also like reality. It's like, no, inflation's hitting. Nasara Gassara is not real. And it's time to face what's happening and be prepared for it. It's like, yeah, but Anomaly, what if the military underground bases were fighting for us and they were going to get the pedophiles tomorrow? It's like, yeah. And, you know, and Leonardo and if Leonardo is real, he would be beating the deep state too, but he was a turtle on television. So, you know, and I'm not trying to mock theories because I have crazy theories too. I'm just saying like, I think that's a lot of what that is. And when it comes to inflation or the country, I'm not a negative or pessimistic person. Inflation is literally happening. If you work in, if you work in house building and stuff, you see the price of lumber is rising, the price of gas is rising, and that I do kind of blame Biden for. But in general, a lot of this other stuff is other type of inflation. But you get what I'm saying? It's like we're not dooming and glooming. We're trying to just prepare ourselves for what's happening, literally in reality. Let's see. Someone said Zippy Doo said, if I like that name, Zippy Doo. If people who had a secret meeting in Jekyll Island to control paper money, how do we know they're not behind the creation of crypto? Well, one of the biggest red flags to me is like the fact that nobody knows who created it. I love the idea of the technology, but like, isn't that kind of crazy? I was researching Banksy, the artist too. I think it's crazy that no one knows who Banksy is. I mean, that's less like, it doesn't matter. He's just making art, but it's pretty hard to stay anonymous nowadays. So the fact that Satoshi Nakamoto, nobody knows who it is, like, yeah, that's kind of a red flag. We got this new money that you're going to pour $38,000 into buying one coin. And it was created by a Japanese guy who might have not even been Japanese, who we don't know who it is. I'm not shitting on Bitcoin. I'm just saying it is a red flag. Even if you love the blockchain and the technology is fantastic, which I think it is. I think it's really good coding and it's very good mathematics. It's still a little weird. I like the technology, but it is a little strange. No. Someone said, dude, you raise awareness and I dig you for it. Well, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate a nice comment. Someone said Nakamoti Plaza. I don't know what that means. When is Hunter Biden going to make a coin? That's pretty funny. The Hunter Biden coin would probably be a hit. Someone said the price of lunch is almost up 50%. And they've been nickel and diming us for years. I remember my father used to say, they're giving you less food and it costs more money. This was before coronavirus. Like over the years, they give you less food and it costs more. Now it's going up. Everything's going up for sure. It's what they did in 2020. I mean, this is why people want Trump back to fight the deep state. I'm saying what Trump did in 2020, what he was a part of, which he bragged about, maybe he had no choice, but he did more damage to America than Obama did. When you print trillions of dollars, Trump screwed us. Everything, the vaccine, Operation Warp Speed, the CARES Act, the extension of the lockdown, sending mass tests everywhere. Trump destroyed this country. So why would I want the guy back that literally destroyed America for generations? It's going to be tough to come back from this, but the last thing I want is that guy back here. He did more damage than Obama. I know people aren't going to want to hear that. I don't think Obama's a great guy. I still like Trump more than Obama for some reason, but it's like tangible things that he did to ruin this country that people don't want to face. And here's my thought about it. I don't care that you don't want to face it because your kids are going to have to face it and you're going to face it in 10 years. You're like, oh, we're fighting the deep state. It's like, good luck when you're 70 years old and this country turns into South Africa. You're not going to be safe anywhere. So, let the young guys, or if you're older, you could be old too. I don't discriminate. It's like, I'm just tired of people like, I don't want to hear that. It's like, well, do you want to get your ass beat when you're 70 years old walking down the street because this country is no longer safe anymore? Because that's where you're heading. So you might want to look at certain things. And I'm going to be old one day. I'm already getting old. But in general, I don't want to have to fear for my life wherever I walk when I'm 70 years old because this country is completely like a degenerate hellhole. But that's where we're heading. So, between inflation, between just the lack of conserving any moral standard at all in the Conservative Party, it's time to do that. Someone said you sold out Anomaly. You guys are so foolish. I mean, I'm just going to hold these up real quick. Ready? This is Trump signs a historic $2 trillion stimulus bill. More US dollars printed in the last year than in the first 2 centuries of America. And 35% of all US dollars in existence were printed in 10 months. Guys, this all happened during the Trump administration before Biden even got there. If you want to lose your country, go lose your country. If you want to act like you're fighting the deep state by supporting the guy who printed more money than the last 3 presidents combined, feel free to explain to your kids when they can't eat bread and they're starving. Tell them how revolutionary you were on Instagram. Yeah, but I know we can't eat today, son, but daddy used to post really good Trump memes on Twitter. Daddy was concerned with the with the Venezuela protests and the Cuba protests, but I couldn't actually save our own country. But I sure showed my support for Hong Kong. Have fun. What part of inflation don't you understand? You sold out, Anomaly. I mean, I followed you when you told the truth for a while, but how dare you? I mean, Trump had to do inflation. Okay, then tell that to your kids when they can't eat bread. So I want Biden now. Is this dumb hour already? We're getting there. We're gonna ruin the stream with dumb hour. No, I don't want Biden. I'm just saying you have two parties. You have Joe Biden, who can barely eat his ice cream, who doesn't know where he is, who is not running the show, and other people are printing money. And you have a Republican Party who pretends to be on your side, who you guys think are really saving you and you don't want to hear about it, but they don't give a shit about you, and they're printing trillions of dollars, and you can't print trillions of dollars. So no matter how many times you want to go hoorah at their concerts or rallies, inflation is coming not just because of Joe Biden, it's coming because of Trump, McConnell, McCarthy, and the Republicans, and Pelosi. They're all in on it. No, we're fighting the radical left. You can't just print $2 trillion. Donald Trump printed $2 trillion. When you print $2 trillion, inflation hits. This inflation brought to you by the donkey and the elephant. This inflation show sponsored by the donkey, Democrats and Republicans. Until you learn this, you will lose. Eventually, you will starve. Like, Anomaly, I can only have a piece of bread in my hand, but I have a mega hand. It's like, I don't care. No. So I want the Democrats. Janice, what are you talking about? Let's calm down, Janice, okay? No, I don't want the Democrats. I'm just saying, if you're playing in a game and you can't figure this out and you're like, so what do you want, the Democrats? I'm supporting the Republicans. You lose, Janice. No, I don't want the Democrats. I'm a registered Republican. But if they're printing trillions of dollars, it doesn't matter how much I want to believe the Republicans are working for me. They sold us out. I didn't sell us out. Daddy Trump sold you out. He printed trillions of dollars, and your children are going to now suffer, Janice, for the next 3 decades. So either figure it out and prepare yourself, or, walk into the gulag with your Trump gear. I don't care. Someone said, but I thought taxpayers were paying for that. They printed money. It's crazy. People are so into the whole show. They don't even know that this happened. They don't even know. This is a sad state of the Republican Party and conservatives. They don't even know. They don't even know that their own politicians signed off on more printing money than Obama did. Trump printed more money than Obama. Trump printed more money than Clinton. Trump printed more money than George Bush. He bragged about it. He said 90% of it was awesome. And he told any Republican who opposed to get out of the party. And you don't even know about it. My gosh, what a sad country. But Anomaly, we're going to save Cuba. You're going to beat Cuba in 5 years. So let's focus on our country. No, Anomaly, we're going to save Venezuela. Oh, your Republicans did Venezuela-type policies. You'll find out what it's like to live in Venezuela because Daddy Trump's bringing it right here and you didn't even know about it. So enjoy the next 10 years. My gosh. Well, what do we do? Stop believing them and say something next time they do that, or at least prepare yourself. Someone said printing money is inflation. Of course, you can't just print money. Guys, they printed more money in 1 year than in the first 2 centuries of our country. They printed more money during the Trump administration with his guidance, with his support, with his pen, and with his approval. 35% of all United States dollars ever printed were printed during the Trump administration. He didn't oppose it. He told any Republican who opposed it to get out of his way. And you think this guy's saving you? Anomaly flip-flop because he tells me things I don't want to hear. It's like, then lose. Go lose, okay? No one's going to care what you think in 5 years. Someone said, sadly, half the people here have no common sense. It's embarrassing. It seriously is. It's embarrassing. So what would I do? My gosh. This is a sad state. It's sad that this is what the lives. So what would you do, Anomaly? I mean, instead of actually doing something about it, I'm just going to play devil's advocate. I'm going to ask you like what you would do. What would you do about it? Well, I'm not President Trump. I'm not a president. And since I'm a citizen of this pathetic, failing, degenerate, two-party opposition country, I'm preparing for the inevitable inflation that Trump and Biden set us up for. So if I was president, I would hope I wouldn't screw over my whole country for generations to come. But if I did do that, which I wouldn't, but if I did, you should prepare for it just like you should now, instead of trying to play devil's advocate. Well, I mean, that's the best he could do was Venezuela. Okay, well, tell that to your children when they're starving in 15 years. It's like, tell them that during the collapse of America, you sat on Anomaly's live stream trying to play devil's advocate, asking what he would have done in a snarky well, what would you have done? I don't know. What are you doing? What I'm doing what I can do. Someone said they're trying to pick your brain and they get a personal ask you for. I don't even care. Someone said here, Sergi, God bless you. I think Trump's plan was to print even more and hang the ticket on China. Oh man, the theories just keep getting so good. I mean, Trump's playing 5D chess, guys. He's bringing United States inflation to really stick it to China. The only way Trump could stick it to China is just printing more money. Inflation's rising. It's screwing over the entire American, working establishment. But yeah, China's really going to foot the bill. This is so sad. Do people not get why we lose? Because the Republicans love Trump so much. They're like, yeah, the only way to stick it to China is to lock the country down. Russia mRNA vaccine that China's not using, guys. They're not using an mRNA vaccine. Only Trump. Oh, I wonder why. Yeah, China walked all over you and walked all over Trump, and you guys can't admit it. So instead of facing the truth, you make up all these theories. The Republican Party is so pathetic. Conservatives are so sad. They can't face reality. So they're like, what if Trump brought about inflation to fight China? No. What if he didn't do what you wanted him to do, and it's time to be a real man and face it? What if that's the reality? Do you ever think about that? What if he just didn't do what you wanted him to do, is bringing about Venezuela and Cuba, and now it's time for you to face it or you're fucked? Did you ever think, did anybody ever think of that or no? This is the most pathetic movement I've ever seen in my life. At least Democrats don't pretend to be strong. At least they're a bunch of beta males like, I'm too depressed to even walk. I'm not even a man. I'm a woman. I'm a trans-binary, transracial. I almost respect Democrats more because they're not pretending to be strong. They revel in their weakness. They're like, I'm weak, and that's my identity. It's like, I think it's pathetic. I think it's going to get our country screwed over, but at least you're not pretending to be like this strong patriot who's fighting socialism. At least you pretend that you're like depressed and you don't know what gender you are. The Republicans, on the other hand, they pretend like they're doing something, but they're like, Anomaly, what if all this inflation's fighting China? It's like, it's not. You just don't want to face reality. So you just make up all these theories to make yourself, what if Trump's fighting underground to really stick it to the deep state? It's like, what if the Ninja Turtles were real? Dude, we're not 15 years old. Inflation's going up in reality. Yeah, I thought I was the Red Ranger when I was 10, and then I grew up, but this is reality, and consumer prices are up 5.4% this year, the biggest gain since August of 2008. And inflation increased 4.5%. The largest move since September 1991. That's really happening. Oh, how do you know? Open your eyes. Go to the store. Go buy lumber. Go buy food. Inflation's real. Your stupid theories of why you think Trump is fighting China are fake. Stop already, guys, or get out of my live stream. Go to some beta male, phony, fake, American flag waving fake patriot who tells you that Trump's fighting an underwater battle and sticking it to China. No, inflation's real. My God. It's so sad. Someone said Trump is no longer president. But when he was president, he printed more money than any other president. And the inflation that's hitting now is because of what he did. So what part of this don't you understand? It's so pathetic. I respect Democrats more because they don't pretend to be strong. They're like, I don't work out. My arms are string beans. alt-right wingers want to work out and stop masturbating on porn. It's like, they're so racist. They're white supremacists because they work out. I almost respect them more because they're not even pretending to be strong. They're not even pretending to stand up for freedom. They're not even pretending to be men. They openly say that they're not men, they're not strong, and they revel in it. I respect them more because they're honest about it. I have no respect left for these conservatives and Republicans who can't face reality, who want to just make excuses for the guy who printed more money than any other president in modern history. Tell it to your kids when they can't eat anymore, because that's what's going to happen. Not because of the Democrats, because your party's fake. You're fake. Your party's fake. You're fake. Fake, fake, fake. Okay? The money's fake. They're printing fake money, and it doesn't mean as much as it used to because Trump printed so much money. So face it or lose. And if you're going to lose, get off my live stream. I'm so tired of these losers who all they want to do is lose. Stop losing so much. Inflation is real. You can't just print money. The Republicans are printing money. And the problem is the Republican base thinks they're standing up for them. They're fucking not. So wake the fuck up or your kids are going to starve. For Christ's sakes. Get a grip, people. No, but they're fighting. They're not. They're not fighting for you. They're not fighting for freedom. They're not fighting for the Constitution. And they're certainly not fiscally conserving shit because they printed more money than Obama. That really happened. So either you face it and face your party and say, stop doing this, or you're just another pathetic pawn who cheers on your own destruction. You're the reason they do this shit because you think they're not doing it. Oh, no, the anomalies, the guy, we're going to go to the Marjorie Taylor Greene rally because she's full of shit too. My God. Someone said you got paid off. What part of what I'm saying don't you guys understand? Trump printed more money than Obama. Trump printed more money than 2 centuries of America. Trump printed $2 trillion. That happened. You can't just print 35% of all US dollars in 1 year. That's what Trump did. That's what McConnell did. That's what Pelosi did. That's what McCarthy did. And the only Republican to stand up against it was Thomas Massie. So this idea that it's just the Democrats, you're freaking stupid. And you're losing. And your whole country is gone. Until you guys wake up to this fact. If you stand there and say, oh, we're fighting the radical left, you became the radical left. Your policies in 2020 and the party you voted for were further left than Obama, literally. And you love it. You love losing. You're addicted to socialism. Socialism tastes so good when we do it. When our guy prints trillions of dollars, we're sticking it to China. But when AOC does it, that's the Green New Deal. It's only cow forts. Guys, you got tricked into your own destruction. So either wake up or lose. What do we do, Anomaly? Move as far away from these people as possible. Own land, grow food, and then you don't have to worry about this shit because it's coming down. Because this is the Republican Party. I have optimism, but not in these people. Yeah, I have optimism because I'm saving up money and I'll go buy land somewhere and be as far away from these people as possible. I have no faith in, well, maybe Trump sent us towards inflation for China. What does your groceries going up 6% have to do with fighting China? You can't just print money. Yes, we're in debt. Yes, China's paying our debt. But if we print more money, are they picking up the bill? No, your lumber is rising. The prices of all your goods are rising in reality, not in theory, in reality. Someone said, so what's the answer? People just don't want to hear the answer. So they just keep asking me what the answer is. On a personal level, do what you got to do. My stream shouldn't decide that. Move to Cuba, pal, said Melanie. Melanie, your country's going to be Cuba in 10 years because the Republican Party is pretending to fight Cuba, like Ted Cruz. Oh, Cuba. Oh, Ted Cruz is fighting Cuba. Oh, yeah, he's not doing shit. They're about to give mRNA vaccines to Cuba like they did Haiti. And guess what? Ted Cruz thinks you should wear a mask on a plane if you're vaccinated. He supports vaccine segregation. Oh, he's really fighting socialism. Anomaly, you moved to Cuba. I'm going to stick with the money printers and the forced masks and the vaccine salesmen. Your country's going to be Cuba in 10 years, Melanie. Our country's going to be Cuba in 10 years. My gosh, this is such a sad, pathetic movement. It really is. Someone said we need to hold our government accountable to be more fiscally conservative. Yeah, that's the solution. Thank you so much. What's the solution? Well, when you have a group of 80 million patriots who cheer on the demise of their own country, have zero backbone whatsoever, and cry and go hysterical when somebody explains to them that their party is printing more money than Obama, yeah, you're screwed. If the Republican Party got a spine, a brain, some cojones, and said, you know what? Maybe we don't dislike Trump, but if he prints money, it doesn't matter if Pelosi prints it or Trump prints it, team red, team blue. Does it matter who prints the money? They both did. And if you think your party's fighting for you, but they're really printing a bunch of money like Venezuela, it doesn't matter what you think. Your country's going to end up like Venezuela in 10 years because it doesn't happen overnight. So all the damage that Trump did last year, all the damage that Pelosi did last year, all the damage that McConnell did last year, all the damage that the Federal Reserve did last year, your kids and your kids' kids are going to have to suffer until they get smart and strong enough to not be like you. So that's what's going to happen to this country. And what do they do in a democracy? Oh, it's Biden. Oh, it's Trump. Oh, no, it's not Trump. It's Biden. Oh, we're fighting the radical left. We're fighting the racist right. Do you guys not get it yet? You're getting fooled. That's why they get away with it, because you're so dumb, you think it's Biden. You think Biden did the inflation. Biden's screwing you more. Trump started the inflation. It started decades ago. But in general, that was the big blow to America, was March of 2020 when Trump printed $2 trillion. How come you guys, I sold out? You guys said you don't want to print money. AOC's trying to print money. Trump printed more money than AOC wants to print, and you guys don't even give a shit. You have no spine, zero. Someone said, no, it could happen in a couple of years. Someone said the small town I live in has 2 lumber mills they're sending to China. Trump didn't fight China. China got the better end of Trump. Oh, no, anomaly, you got sold out. No, you think you're fighting China. Go listen to Steve Bannon's War Room. We're fighting China. Yeah, go fight China with Steve Bannon. No disrespect to Steve Bannon, smart guy. I'm just saying, like, this 5-dimensional choo-choo train chess game you think you're playing, you lost to China, okay? So either you win and figure out why you lost, or you just keep losing. I really don't care. Someone said the Patriot Act is a downfall. That was definitely not helpful. Mike said you're arguing against a cult. They're trying to get you going. They're not going to hear you. They're programmed. They can't see that LNR doesn't exist. 2 dogs. Mike said, I agree with what you're saying, but moving the country and growing food isn't a solution. We need to talk about what to do, not just complain. You, on a personal level, all you can do is what you can do. I can't help you. Trump can't help you. You got to decide your own life. You could move wherever you want. You can go to Idaho. You can go to Canada. You can go to Venice. You are your own sentiment being. So on your own personal life, it's up to you. I can't help you. Trump can't help you. On a local level, that's one thing with politics. On a national political level, which is what everybody cares about so much, they're all concerned about national politics. We are never going to win if people can't get a grip and figure out what I'm saying. If you think the right wing is fighting radical socialism while they're in reality becoming radical socialists by printing more money in factual reality than Clinton, Obama, and Bush, you lose. It's really that simple on a national level. If you're mad at what I'm saying, you lose. Why? Because that really happened. And if you don't want to admit it, reality doesn't care. And if you think they're fighting radical socialism while they printed more money than Democrats ever printed before Trump got there, you lose. It's really that simple. The only way to win is to stand up to your party. The Democrats don't give a shit about you. Oh, move to Cuba. You're a Democrat. The Democrats don't care. But here's where politics happens. You have 2 parties, right? You have the Democrats who clearly don't care about anything that you care about for the most part. So you have one party that pretends to fight for you in Congress and in the White House. That party's called the Republican Party. They're the conservative party. They're supposed to be the fiscally conservative party, and they're supposed to be the party of the American spirit. That's who you guys are registered to, most of you. So this is the problem. The problem is not that the Democrats aren't doing anything. They're not supposed to, and I don't even expect them to do. The problem is the party that you guys think is fighting for you is not fighting for you. They are not doing what you think they're doing. So if you keep thinking they're doing it and getting mad at people who tell you they're not doing what you think you're doing, you lose, literally. Like, I don't care how mad you get. Inflation's going to keep going up. And I'm sorry, it's not just because of Joe Biden. Trump fucked you, okay? For generations. And You could figure it out and reverse it, but it would have to identify it. Because if all you want to do is get the audit to go right back to where you were in 2020, you're going to get the same exact results, because the same people that fucked you in 2020 and screwed you over for the next 10 years are the ones that you're dying for. You would fight your life to put them back in office just so they could fuck you again. So fool me once, shame on me. Fool me 15 times, you might be a Trump supporter. You don't want to stand up for your country, your economy, fiscally. You just desperately want to bring back 2020. And that's exactly what screwed you. It's unbelievable. It's like the problem isn't that the Democrats aren't helping us. They're not supposed to at this point. They don't care. The problem is you have 100 million people running in circles around a vaccine salesman who printed more money than Barack Obama. That's what happened. Literally, that's what happened. How are you going to win when so many people don't care? They don't care about their kids. They think they're fighting Cuba. I'm telling you, how come there was no big protest that was televised in Cuba for the last 30 years that everybody cared about? And they care about it today because they're trying to get mRNA vaccines to Cuba. Cuba is not accepting Western vaccines, just like Haiti wasn't, just like Tanzania and other countries like that weren't. And Cuba, they want to get them mRNA vaccines. So they're going to dupe conservatives. Conservatives are so stupid. They fall for every stupid little trap. And they're, oh, freedom, freedom. They got American flag. Where did they get their American flags from? The same place they got them in Hong Kong. Where, oh, they just spontaneously had American flags and they're waving. How come they're all wearing masks? Did you ever ask yourself that? If they're American patriots who are just like you, how come 95% of the protesters are wearing masks? Because the left-wing media is right. What they want is vaccines, and they want vaccines because it's not your protest. You can't even fix your own country. Go to Los Angeles and fix Skid Row. Go to Texas and fix Dallas and Austin. You guys can't even fix your own country. Everyone's tired of you thinking that you're spreading freedom and democracy. Focus on yourself. We're going to end up like Venezuela in 5 years because Daddy Trump printed just as much money as these Democrats are printing right now. We're going to be Venezuela. You're not going to have to fight for Cuba and Venezuela because that's us in 5 years, in 10 years. And if you want to look at where we're going socially, look no further than South Africa, because that's already hit our cities during the Black Lives Matter riots, and it's going to hit even harder in 10 and 15 years. That's all coming. It doesn't have to come, though. That's the point. It doesn't have to come. If you figure out that it's happening, it's really that simple. It's an easy answer, but people are duped. Someone said, don't let them get to you. I'm not letting them get to me, but I'm not backing down. I don't care how many people don't get it. I care about your kids and your kids' kids. And to be quite frank, I care about myself and what the country is going to look like when I grow old. Because when I grow old, I don't want to have to be getting my ass beat like some of these Asians who live in New York Cities and high crime areas. Yeah, I don't want to live like that. And the country's shrinking and shrinking and shrinking as far as where it's safe. And places that used to be safe aren't safe anymore. So, yeah, I'm a little bit more concerned with what's happening than making excuses for why it's happening. There is no stopping that. Conservatives aren't even trying to stop it. Young Sal said, please talk about Macron's health passport in France, the impending mandatory vaccine coming to America. Good point, Young Sal. This is another, and I hate to be upset and I hate to be passionate, but this is another, the fakest lie in the MAGA movement right now is Trump rushed the vaccines to save us. Anomaly, he printed the money to save us. He's fighting China by printing money. He's passing vaccines to save the world. No, the vaccine is part of the control. In France, they're doing a digital vaccine passport, just like they were ushering up in Israel. And they're going to do it. And anytime it doesn't work, they just go back to the drawing board and figure out how to make it work. So this idea that they're not going to bring this here, I mean, there's a few Republicans fighting against it, but for the most part, they're going to try to bring the vaccine passport here. And since conservatives just let 100,000 restaurants and small businesses die, the multinational corporations have more power. And since conservatives think the multinational corporations can do whatever they want, which they can't and they shouldn't be able to, all of a sudden conservatives, when it actually matters to do something, they're now libertarians. Oh, they could do whatever they want. They could do mask mandates and vaccine passports. Okay, could they chop your leg off? They can't just do whatever they want. Do they have the right to chop your leg off if you walk into CVS? Of course not. We're supposed to have some sort of moral and legal fabric in this country, but all of a sudden when it matters, conservatives or libertarians, well, no, they have the right to screw us over. It's like, okay, then that's what they're going to do. They're going to try to do it via corporations first and do the vaccine passport. So I mean, it's all stoppable, but there is no opposition in America. There's just a bunch of people who run circles around the guy who brought the vaccines and the socialism. So they're going to try to do that here. We're just the hardest place to do it at. So everything that's happening in Venezuela, everything that's happening in Cuba, everything that's happening in Canada, everything that's happening in France and Germany, that's where we're going to look in 2 years. And that's what they want to do. So we should have a whole movement really trying to resist that. Someone said, I'll take back the Trump economy, please. The lockdowns, the quarantines, this country was less free last year, literally. But yeah, have that back. Unbelievable. Gary said, I know a bunch of people who are constantly posting horrible things about the vaccines and lockdowns, but at the same time are begging for Trump to come back. They're just as brainwashed as left wingers. They don't want, and this is the part that's really annoying me with the Trump movement now. It's not that hard to just admit what happened and then go back to the drawing board, but everybody's like afraid to admit that 2020 didn't go as planned. So they just make up stupid theories to convince themselves that it never happened. Like the vaccine's here to free us. You think Trump rushed the vaccine to give you freedom? Are you joking? You don't think that. You just tell yourself that because you don't want to admit that maybe he did something that wasn't good for the country or wasn't good for your freedom, because they're going to use that to control you more with the passport. And it's not like we didn't see this coming. Oh, it's a blind side. We had no idea they were going to mandate it. Guys, they tried to mandate vaccines 2 and 3 years ago. And as soon as the pandemic hits, before they even rushed the vaccine, everybody knew they were going to try to do this because that's what they do. But Trump didn't know and you didn't know, and it's just a bad coincidence. And he was really trying to give you your country back with the vaccine. No, it's the opposite. That's like saying he's giving us our freedom with the lockdowns back. He needs to, it's like, no, it's part of the whole scheme. It's so sad. Young Sal said the money is imaginary and the support is real, just like you. Thank you for your knowledge. Appreciate you. I don't even want, I'm going to take a couple. I'm doing a video today about Haiti, but then I'm taking a break from streaming. I don't even want to talk anymore because it doesn't even make sense. I'd rather just focus on other things. Someone said Trump supporters want 2018 and 2019 back. Yeah, okay. I want to be 19 again. I don't know. Like I want to remember what it's like to have no cares in the world. Yeah, I want to be a Ninja Turtle. Okay, I want 2018 and 2019. The Trump administration includes 2020. So I get it. Yeah, I want 2008 back. I don't like Obama, but 2008 was a good year for me. It's like, yeah, well, you don't get Obama without his healthcare policy. So you don't get to pick and choose the years. Trump's administration includes 2020. So yeah, you want 2019 back? I want 2008 back. I want to be back in college, drinking beer and smoking marijuana and listening to rap music. But that's not how life works. Someone said 100% facts, solutions, debt-free, buy land, grow food. I'm taking a few day break. I'm going to do my Haiti video and then I'm not streaming for a few days because there's no point. Someone said your videos have been the most positive impact and reach have been streaming. Trolls can be draining. They're not trolls, though. These are people that are so obsessed with the Republican Party and more specifically Donald Trump that they don't care about reality anymore. We make fun of liberals for 4 years. They don't live in reality. Why don't liberals live in reality? Because they're reading fake stuff. They hate Trump so much that they just don't even think straight, and they're just making up things, and they become hypocrites, and they have double standards. That's what we were making fun of the left. That's the Trump movement now, filled with hypocrisy, filled with double standards, filled with delusion. That's the MAGA movement now. Delusional, double standards, hypocrisy. If Biden did Operation Warp Speed, no one would like it. If Obama did Operation Warp Speed, no one would like it. If Mitt Romney did Operation Warp Speed, no one would like it. If Jeb Bush did Operation Warp Speed, no one would like it. If Donald Trump does Operation Warp Speed, we secretly love it because we think he got us our freedom back and he's fighting Bill Gates by funding Bill Gates' favorite company. It's like, no, he's not. You guys are hypocrites. You guys are you guys have fake standards. You are the left now. You don't believe in anything. For 3 years, I heard about how bad AOC is with their Green New Deal because the Green New Deal sucks. I agree. But then Trump prints trillions of dollars. What do you think this whole thing was? Equity, build back better. This is a whole socialist, communist overhaul of society where you print money, screw over the currency, screw over landowners. That's what they did in 2020. So this is the MAGA movement now. You guys are just as hypocritical as the left. You don't believe in any values you claim to believe in, and you get upset when I say about it. I'm not trying to be mean or rude, but at a certain point, I'm so tired of you people. You guys have lied since March, lied since April, lied since June. You guys just can't cope with reality, so you make up fantasy fairy tales about how inflation's good. You sound like the Democrats. Democrats are posting articles, inflation is a good thing because now you get more money. It's like, inflation's not a good thing. Oh, I have $1,000, but it's not worth as much. Inflation sucks. Democrats are lying. I talk about inflation and people want to comment, oh, inflation is a way to fight China. Trump's sticking the debt to them. Guys, you would never say this if Barack Obama was in office. You would never say this if Hillary Clinton did this. You would never think or say this if any Democrat were in office or Mitt Romney. You don't think this because you believe this. You think this because you love Trump so much. You don't live in reality anymore. I would say the same things I'm saying about Operation Warp Speed, the same things I'm saying about inflation, if it were Obama or Hillary. Do you know why? Because this is reality. I don't want them to print trillions of dollars. So if Obama prints trillions of dollars, he's not helping you. If Biden prints trillions of dollars, he's not helping you. If Hillary prints trillions of dollars, they're not helping you. If McConnell is printing trillions of dollars, he's not helping you. And I'm sorry to say it, folks, but if Donald J. Trump prints trillions of dollars, he's not helping you. And you would never try to formulate an argument where he was with any other politician. You only do it because you guys have been like sucked into this cult of Trump. You can't fathom that there's possibly a thing he did that's not good for you. So you live in fantasy Ninja Turtle world trying to do backflips, figuring out how things that you don't morally or economically agree with, now all of a sudden you want to pretend is a good thing. This is why the country's failing. It's not because Democrats, it's because Trump supporters and conservatives don't believe in anything anymore. They don't live in reality anymore. You know, this guy's trying to tell me, I debated him yesterday, obviously destroyed him. He said, you know, I think Trump is fighting Bill Gates with the vaccines. And I'm like, how is he fighting Bill Gates with the vaccines? He's putting them in the military's hands. And I said, do you know what Operation Warp Speed is? It gave $1 billion to, you know, Moderna, AstraZeneca. It's just Trump funding the pharmacy industry. That's all it is. If Obama did that, do you think this guy would have said Obama's fighting Bill Gates? Of course not. Because excuse my language, it's fucking stupid. Okay. But people make up fake theories because they just don't want to face reality. It's really sad, actually. So then he said, well, it put the vaccines in the military's hands and not in Bill Gates' hands. And I'm like, do you know, if you listen to people like Robert F. Kennedy and such, the vaccine industry, big pharma, the government and the military and aspects of the military, they've been working for decades. A lot of what they did with the vaccine rollout, it went through the military decades ago. So it's not like this is some new thing. Trump sold it to you as if it's some Space Force battalion thing for people like you to believe it. It's not some sort of Space Force thing. And the military involvement in vaccinations is actually not new if you look at a lot of the ways they've rolled it out in the past and how they've merged big pharma, you know, and government, and the military is part of the government. So they use logistics and other stuff, and they've done that for decades. So none of the theories make sense, and none of them would exist if this was a Democrat doing it. I'm telling you, I voted for Trump. I supported him for 3 years. I even supported him through last year, hoping that he would make a correction, and he never did. And I faced reality, but people can't do that. And that's why we're losing the country. It's not from a position of strength. The base doesn't believe in anything. The Democrats don't believe in anything. They don't even know what they believe. They hate this. They hate that. They don't know anything. All they do is hate they hate conservatives, and they love their media lying to them about this spectacle that doesn't event. Democrats don't know what they believe in anymore because it's all hypocrisy. It's all brainwash. That's becoming MAGA, whether you guys want to realize it or not. You don't believe anything. If Obama did Operation Warp Speed, you'd hate it. If Trump does it, you got 15 excuses and fake theories of why you think it's something that it's not. It's not. He just did something you didn't want him to do, or maybe you did, whatever. Then you go to inflation. I mean, your price of stuff's rising and you think he did it to fight China. It's like, these are not things that you really think. You just want to play this stupid game. It's so pathetic. Jay said they need you to hammer this home. Don't give up. You were intelligent enough to get your reach for this reason. Keep on going with the facts. Spread this wisdom, doing God's work, bro. Jay Case. And I'm sorry for anyone I'm rude to, but like our country is suffering right now. Like inflation is real. It's really happening and it's really not stopping, because even in 2008, they never did this much money printing. 2008 was like a speck compared to what Trump and Biden just did. And yes, it's Trump and Biden, and it's McConnell, and it's Pelosi, and it's the Congress, and it's the Senate, and it's the House. Yeah, they all did it. But this idea that like Trump's this innocent victim sitting at the top saving your life and he has nothing to do with it, it's a lie. And the longer you hold on to this lie, the longer you suffer, and the longer your kids suffer, and the longer your kids' suffer, and the longer we kick the can down the road. And the reason that I'm so frustrated is because I was talking about this in March and April and May and June of last year. And all conservatives wanted to do was kick the can down the road. In March and April and May and June, kick the can down the road, kick the can down the road. Just wait till the election. Just wait till the election. Just wait till January 6th. Just wait till the 20th. Just wait till August. Just wait till this. Just wait till the audit. Just wait till his 2024. He's coming back. Guys, you're kicking the can down the road, and we're all going to suffer because you don't want to face these problems. And these problems have been a problem since March. I said this in March and April and May. I talked about all this stuff, and conservatives didn't want to face it. So I'm starting to realize conservatives are cowards. They don't want to face anything ever. They want to be a Ninja Turtle and just make up theories for the rest of their life as our whole country suffers. I've been tired of it since April, and I'm tired of it now, because the further you kick the can down the road, the harder it is to get it back. So when 15 days of slow the spread went and Trump printed the money, it's a tough hill to climb. And then he extended the lockdown past Easter, and it's even tougher. And then he did Operation Warp Speed, and it's even tougher. And then, the mask mandate came, and it got even tougher. And then the 6th event happened where people got set up, and it got even tougher. And now Biden's printing money, and it's getting even tougher. There is no magic fairy tale Ninja Turtle, like politician who's going to save you. Like, get over yourself. Like, it's like if I want to sit here and talk about the Teletubbies being real in an alternate universe, it's like I'm not 15 anymore. I'm not 5 anymore. It's like I'm a grown adult, and I'm not even that old. It's like at a certain point, the can has been kicked down the road for 2 years. And the longer conservatives want to, we're fighting Cuba, we're fighting the audit. You guys aren't fighting shit. You guys are kicking the can down the road, and all it takes is a stupid Twitter post, and conservative media is just running in circles for years. They're not doing anything. So I apologize for being upset, but it's like we're going to suffer because conservatives took a 15-day thing, turned it into a year and a half, and apparently still have learned nothing. What are they going to do this for the next 4 years? Someone said agree, so what's your solution? Do I have to say for the 1,000th time? I'm not streaming for the next few days. I'm taking a break because this is ridiculous. I've only said it 100,000 times since I started streaming in April. Should we go over the solution again? First of all, if you have to ask a guy on YouTube for a solution, you're not very smart, okay? If you got to ask me what a solution is for your life, something's going wrong. I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm not going to save you. Trump's not going to save you. Your own personal life, your own business, your own security, that's on you, okay? And that's just obvious. When it comes to national politics, when 50 million people play along to this stuff and prove no resistance, they keep doing it. If people learn what I just said and actually take a stand against their own party, not just the Democratic Party who doesn't give a shit about you, your own party who pretends to give a shit about you and then does things that are so radically left that it would have blown people's mind 5 years. That's how you win nationally for the 100,000th time. I've only said it every time I've ever streamed in the last year and a half. And you guys ask me this not because you want to hear a solution, because you don't want to hear a solution and you don't want to hear the problem. But if you don't look at the problem, you never solve the solution. And that's America kicking the can down the road since 1918, since they created the Federal Reserve. Just kick the can down the road, kick the can down the road, kick the can down the road. What's the solution? Kick the can down the road. I've only said it 100,000 times, but People don't want to hear it. You don't ask me because you want to hear a solution. They ask me because they are afraid that the problem shatters their reality. Well, what if I'm not a patriot and I'm not fighting for freedom? Yeah, you're not. I'm not saying you're not individually, but it's like if you keep worshiping these politicians who went further left than Obama with no backlash or no pushback at all, you're not helping. And I'll tell you what, I'm not saying I'm that special, but energy is contagious. And when you stand up to the GOP, more people stand up to the GOP. And when more people stand up to the GOP, your party, or I would guess a lot of people's party, they're forced to actually do something. They will change if enough of their base change. If enough of their base loves the spectacle, that's how they make money. How does the left wing make money? Oh, George Floyd died. There's things in the streets. Act blue. How much money did progressives make off George Floyd? That's how they make money. When a black person dies by a cop or a white person, they make a lot of money. When there's a big event like the Capitol or Charlottesville, they make a lot of money. When there's some sort of drama with Trump or a Republican, they make a lot of money. The only reason the Democratic Party exists is because they have a boogeyman that they point to and they fundraise billions of dollars off it. The second the left wing realizes that the boogeyman of the white supremacy Trump guy isn't real, the left wing has no platform anymore. The left wing believes in nothing, stands for nothing, talks about nothing, flip-flop a million times, Fauci flip-flops 50 times. The entire premise of the left-wing illusion that has brainwashed 50 million people in our country is the fact that they're fighting a boogeyman, which largely is wildly exaggerated. So if people realize that that whole fake fight was exaggerated, the Democratic Party doesn't exist anymore. So now if you go to the Republican Party, you have all these Republicans. We're fighting the radical left. We're fighting Cuba. Yeah, I don't want to be Cuba. I don't like the radical left. But once you realize they're not really fighting for you, like at all, or at least they're pretending to, like on a scale of 1 to 100, they're pretending to 99% fight for you, but they're fighting for you like 10%. So that's the right-wing illusion. It's just hard for people to realize because they're caught in it. So the second you realize that they're not fighting Venezuela, they're becoming Venezuela. The second that you realize they're not fighting for freedom in Cuba because they can't even fight for freedom here, the second you realize that they're not fighting globalism, they're becoming globalism. And the second you realize they're not fighting socialism and communism, they're implementing socialism and communism, is the second that you're healed from this insane circus that's going on. So what's the solution? Just like the left wing is risen by the fact that they're fighting the right. The right wing is fighting the left. Yeah, the right wing is doing more. I think they're providing more value for their base. I do. That's why I'm still a registered Republican. But overall, they're not really fighting for us to the extent that they say. So that is the answer. Someone said anomaly. I'm just gonna laugh. Anomaly is a Rhino 2.0. Guys, a Rhino means I'm gonna bust this illusion in under 2 minutes. A Rhino means Republican in name only. Do you know why that's really a dumb word? Because the Republicans are trying to convince you that if any Republican's a bad Republican, they're secretly a Democrat. No, the Republican Party sucks too. That's why Jenna Ellis left it, because they suck too. They're Republicans. Mitt Romney's a Republican. George Bush is a Republican. Jeb Bush is a Republican. Donald Trump is a Republican. They're not a Republican in name only. They are a Republican. Yeah, they don't stand up for conservative values, but, oh, they must be a Democrat. No, your party sucks too. That's why that word doesn't even really make sense. It's a cop-out. When a Republican does something wrong, you try to act like they're just secretly on the other side. It's like, no, your whole party sucks that bad. They're not rhinos. They are Republicans. In name and in practice, Republicans. This fact that standing up for conservative fiscal values is secretly a Democrat thing, it's like, no, you bought into the fight. I'm sorry. They're doing more than Democrats, but they're not. What? Let me ask this really quickly. What part of printing trillions of dollars? Okay, let's just go slowly. During President Trump's administration, him, McCarthy, Pelosi, they signed off on a multi-trillion-dollar printing bill where they printed trillions of dollars. Okay, we're going to go slow. By the end of 2020, with Trump as president, McCarthy and McConnell as the leaders of the Republican Party, thumbs upping all of this, they printed more money, or 35% of all US dollars ever printed in 1 year of Republican leadership. Do you think, as a Republican and a conservative, do you think that that won't lead to inflation? Do you think that printing that much money in 2020 won't affect you? I'm just going to sit in silence for 30 minutes and ask you, that's literally, in reality, what happened in 2020. Is that not going to negatively affect you? Am I a rhino for pointing that out, that the Republican Party printed trillions of dollars? That makes me a rhino? You think your allegiance to Donald Trump is going to change the fact that printing trillions of dollars will lead to inflation? You think your support of him is going to change? It doesn't change that. Just like me disliking certain things he did isn't going to change them. Debbie said, I still love Trump. That's fine, but I'm just saying, if you don't want your country to be Venezuela, you have to learn why Venezuela became, no offense, a shithole. And I'm not saying that to be mean to Venezuelans. I think America is on its way to becoming a shithole, and many liberal cities are shitholes. No disrespect. One of the ways Venezuela became socialist and communist is they printed a lot of money that they didn't have. And when you print a lot of money that you don't have, the value of the money isn't worth as much anymore. That's math, guys. That's what happened during the Trump administration. They printed more money than Barack Obama. Does that hurt your feelings? Reality doesn't care. Does that hurt your illusion that you like him? I don't care if you like him. I don't care if you hate him. I don't care if you have a Trump shirt on. I don't care. I have a shirt. It's of Adam Schiff with a clown face, but I have a Trump shirt. It's not going to change what I just said. And at a certain point, patriots and conservatives in America are going to have to care. You're going to have to, because your money's not going to work anymore. And it's already working less and less and less. Okay, who does this affect? The lower class and the middle class the most. So hopefully you're rich, because you could probably skirt around it. But if you're a working person, this affects you the most. This affects average Americans the most. You're going to have to care about it. I get it's more fun to pretend that the guy you're fighting with is fighting for you. But at a certain point, you're going to have to care about what I'm going to say. And you know what the Republican Party is going to do? When this all happens, they're going to say, it was the radical left. No, it was them too. That's their fundraising tactic. You know what they do when they mail me the Republican Party? We're fighting the radical left. You know what I do? I rip it up. I say, you're not fighting the radical left, you liars. You just want my money because you think I'm stupid enough to believe that you're fighting the radical left. You are the radical left, Ronna McDaniel. You are the radical left, Donald Trump. You are the radical left. To me, the radical left is printing trillions of dollars. That's what you did. Tim Scott is a radical socialist, in my opinion. Oh, but he's so well-spoken. Oh, man, the left wing said mean names to him. Who cares? Tim Scott's up on stage bragging about, we printed trillions of dollars. When we did the CARES Act, it was bipartisan, and Nancy Pelosi's the radical left. So you guys get your mail and say, oh my God, I'm going to donate to the Republican Party. Tim Scott's fighting the radical left. No, he's pretending to fight the radical left while he brags about a policy that was further left than Obama. But people don't pick up on this stuff, so they keep doing it. That's their whole shtick. That's their whole shtick. We're going to get behind President Trump. They're not going to get behind President Trump. They want your money, because they're not making money. Trump makes money, okay? That's one thing he's always done. The guy makes money, and he makes money for the Republican Party. Without Trump, they can't make money because they don't actually stand for anything. So they're going to pretend that they're standing behind Trump, and they won't. They're going to pretend Someone said shutting down the country was the dumbest move ever. I agree. And I'll even give, compassion where it's like, yeah, it's a difficult decision, but the what's happening in our country and the point that I'm trying to make is like nothing ever gets done because no one wants to do anything. So it's like this idea that someone's going to come along and save you. It's not true. Patriots in this country have to identify the problem, which is bipartisan, and stand up against the problem. But now Republicans are trying to psyop their base into being like, we're fighting the radical left. We're standing behind Trump. What is standing behind Trump going to do for me if Trump was the one who did Operation Warp Speed? What's it going to, every new Republican, you have to understand, you're not winning if you don't get behind Trump. So I'm a patriot. I'm going to stand behind Trump. Are you going to stand behind Trump when he does the CARES Act? Because then you're going to screw us over. Are you going to stand behind Trump when he becomes a vaccine salesman? So there is no fight for you. There's a fight to pretend that they're going to stand behind Trump, who isn't even standing behind our values. So the whole Republican Party is bunk right now. Danny says, showing your true colors. You're damn right I am. Red, white, and blue. I'm a patriot. I know you're older than me. I'm sure you have kids. Do you care about your kids' future? Because at a certain point, your kids aren't going to care how much you sat on Facebook and supported President Trump. They're going to care that you did nothing when he printed trillions of dollars and the money that you save for them isn't worth anything anymore. That's what they're going to care about. Not how much you pledged allegiance to Trump and told Anomaly he's not a patriot because he says this stuff. This is all real. The Republican Party will never change because they don't have to change because people are so foolish that they don't want them to change. And this is where people say, what do we do? Life is what you make of it. So if you want this, you get it. Like I decided at a certain point in my life, I wanted to do stuff and I did it. And then life opened up for me because I took those steps. No one's going to take those steps for you. So as far as what happens to our country is a product of what people want. I feel bad for good people, not people who say, Anomaly, you're showing your true colors. I mean, what part of what I said is even like controversial? I'm not even bringing out something that I can't prove in your, like, are you okay with the Republican Party printing trillions of dollars? That's fine. That's fine with you. Then why do you think you deserve anything but Venezuela? I don't even understand. It doesn't make any sense to me. Someone said Trump said America will never be a socialist country. Also, Trump prints $6.2 trillion. Exactly, Sundog. Thank you for the super chat. Trump said it'll never be a socialist country, and he printed $6.2 trillion. And you guys buy the speech. My gosh. Someone said the grand delusion is real and it's here. Sadly, brother, you're wasting your energy on people who don't deserve it. This is my last rant. I'm doing a video on Haiti tomorrow. And I'm taking a break from the live streams. I'm not going to talk into a brick wall. But I will say this. I know a lot of patriots and a lot of Trump supporters and a lot of conservatives who were inspired by what I said and have finally woken up to the delusion. And everybody's going to wake up to it eventually, because if you don't wake up to it now, you're going to wake up to it in 5 years when you don't own anything and when your country's screwed because the Republican Party was providing little to no resistance. Someone said, please report on Cuba. They're trying to get mRNA vaccines to Cuba, so they're duping conservatives into thinking you're going to stop communism in Cuba. You're not going to stop communism in Cuba because you can't even stop communism in your own country. You're not going to free Cuba because you can't even free your own country. Here's America's freedom in the last 15 years. Here's America's freedom during the Trump administration. Here's America's freedom during 2020. You're losing freedom. So this idea that you think you're going to free Cuba, you can't even free yourself. So the only reason the media on both sides cares about Cuba, I'm sorry to say this, I believe they're trying to get Western vaccines to Cuba. So they're going to dupe the left wing and the right wing into fighting over it. They're going to dupe the right wing into thinking they're bringing freedom and economic value to Cuba. How are you going to bring economic freedom to Cuba? Guys, June 2021, your economy in America is worse than it's been since September of 1991, okay? That's the numbers you're putting up. And you think you're going to get involved in Cuba? Focus on America for Christ's sakes. Focus on America for Christ's sakes. Focus on America for once in your life. You can't bring freedom to Cuba. You're losing freedom in America. You can't bring economic justice to Cuba. Your economy is fluttering harder than it has in 3 decades because both parties locked the freaking country down and printed trillions of dollars. So keep your fucking eyes on, I'm sorry to be mean, to the United States of America. Conservatives are so dumb. I'm not trying to take it out on the person who thinks, what about Cuba? What about America? Focus on America, for Christ's sakes. You're losing everything. You're not even going to be able to talk on social media in 2 years, and you're worried about Cuba. For fuck's sake, worry about your own goddamn country for once in your life. You're not going to make Cuba great again because you can't even make America great again. America got worse during 4 years of Trump. 2020 was one of the shittiest years on record. Our economy spiraling backwards, and inflation is going to happen whether you want it or not. So focus on your own country. You're 10 years away from being Cuba and 10 years away from being Venezuela. Stop worrying about everywhere else in the world. You're not bringing democracy to Afghanistan. You're not bringing fair elections to Iraq. You're not liberating Haiti, and you're certainly not going to help Cuba. So focus on America for one time. Please, if you could do one thing, focus on America. If you care about Cuba so much, go there and join the protests if you want to. Focus on this country. We're going to be Cuba very soon. Someone said Trump supporters live in a false reality as the progressives. Trump supporters are progressive. They printed more money than Obama. Trump was fiscally more progressive than Barack Obama in the end. You can't just print trillions of dollars, okay? That's what he did. So who cares? There's a lot of things going on in the world right now. Listen, Israel's fighting Palestine. If you support Israel, go fly to Israel and fight a battle for them. If you support Palestine, go fly to Palestine. If you're concerned about Yemen and Saudi Arabia, I understand. I'm not knocking it. You can fly there. You know, if you're concerned about Cuba, go to Cuba. If you're concerned about Venezuela, go to Venezuela. America's turning into these countries very quickly. So is there a party here who wants to fight for American freedom? What part of the last 2 years do you not realize that you've lost more of our founding fathers' freedom in the last 2 years, half of which had a Republican president, than you've lost in modern history? You're losing everything, fiscally, economically, socially, every aspect of conservatism you're losing. And you want to talk to me about Cuba? My gosh. What do conservatives do? Literally nothing. I'm not saying I'm glad to be in America, but I'm not going to be for much longer. So let's make America great, okay? Everybody's so concerned about Cuba. They don't have medical freedom. Do you know why they're all probably wearing masks? How come these right-wing patriots in Cuba who care about, how come they're all wearing masks? Because it's a protest that the media and Joe Biden supports. When Joe Biden, the media, and the Republican Party all support the same protest in another country, you can almost guarantee it has nothing to do with freeing the people there. Oh, look, it's a bipartisan agreement to bring fair elections to Afghanistan. Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, man, we're fighting for democracy in Venezuela. That's why Nancy Pelosi and Donald Trump all agree on it. Oh, yeah. Oh, the Hong Kong protests, we're fighting for freedom in Hong Kong. That's why George Soros, Donald Trump, Nancy Pelosi, and Mike Pompeo finally agree on something, bringing freedom to Hong Kong. Oh, yeah, they're really going to bring freedom to Hong Kong. God bless the people of Hong Kong, but focus on America, please. And people will say, well, we could care about both. I agree, but you're not even going to hear another conservative say what I'm saying. Okay, out of every conservative influencer I follow, and I try to follow the best ones. I don't follow crappy ones. I follow the best conservative influencers. Out of the conservative influencers I follow, do you know how many I've seen admit that this inflation is not just a product of Joe Biden? It's a product of the Republican Party last year? Zero. None. They're all lying. They're all fooling you. They're all fooling you. Zero. And I follow the best ones. None of them. I haven't seen one Republican and one conservative admit that this inflation has a lot to do with last year when they printed $6 trillion. Duh. So how are they going to help you? They're not. They're just putting on a show. It's Biden. It's Biden. Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene, who, I might God bless her soul. I might try to interview her soon or something because I like her, but I'm tired of this stuff. She says President Trump's tax cuts, tariffs on China, and strong border policies were great for American businesses and the American people. This is how we put America first. Biden has opened the border to the world and will end tariffs and raise your taxes. Biden's America last. So, I mean, I agree with certain things she said, but the Republican Party, Marjorie Taylor Greene, printed $6 trillion, and that's why our inflation's hitting, and the Democrats too. So who cares if Trump put tariffs on China if he's printing $6 trillion? Do you know what happens when you print $6 trillion, Marjorie Taylor Greene? But this is their whole shtick. We're fighting for America. We're going to put tariffs on China. No one gives a shit about tariffs on China if you can't even keep our country open. Tariffs on China were cool in 2018. In 2020, when you print $6 trillion, who the fuck cares anymore? Doesn't matter anymore. They're just putting on a show. We're fighting the left. You are the left. It's time for her to go apologize at another Holocaust memorial. You know, she's going to say something wrong and she's going to apologize at a Holocaust memorial. And then she'll go on her Nick Cannon apology tour and read anti-Semitism books. And then, you know, she'll get back to the tour where she tells you that she's fighting the radical left, as her party literally is the radical left. Someone said, Anomaly, don't give up speaking. I'm not giving up. I'm just taking a break from live streams. I'm not going on vacation. I'm working on a video later today. I'm just tired of having the same conversations over and over. Someone said there's no inflation. Okay. Lumber, the prices of lumber just went up magically. And, you know, prices at the grocery store just going up. That's not inflation, though. That's we'll call it that. That's not it. Inflation's not real. It's just we can call it whatever we want. Prices are going up of things because everything's supply and demand. And if you print money, it messes with supply and demand. I pray. Michael said there's no inflation. We read it, Michael. There's no inflation in your eyes. Okay. What do we call it when prices raise? We can call it blah, 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 blah. Okay. There's no inflation. There's blah, 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 blah. Okay. That's what's leading the groceries to go up. Michael says, give up. Sure. Melanie said, you are unbelievable. Wow. Get a job. It's pretty fun. I'm not even mad at you. God bless you, Melanie. This is how people, I know I definitely could have been nicer myself, but this is how people treat you. If you talk about inflation, they say, get a job. Just go get a job, you millennial. Get a job, you Zoomer. You just get a job. You're just sitting in your basement. I have a job. Unfortunately for you, I could do this. I could filibuster for 10 hours if I want and probably make more money than you made today. But it's not a competition. I'm just saying I have a job. It's like, how dare you talk about inflation and Marjorie Taylor Greene? Marjorie Taylor Greene's fighting the radical left. Get a job. She's fighting the tariffs for China. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's really going to stick it to China with the tariffs. I mean, yeah, I guess we did print $6 trillion, but I mean, China is the tariffs from China are going to really set in soon, and the inflation loans and the NESARA, GESARA, and Trump's going to Operation Warp Speed to the vaccine save us from Bill Gates. I mean, you know, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, man, they can't stop the right wing. I mean, you know, the more you fund them, the more they fall. He had to expose them. You got to love, like, when Trump put Fauci on television all the time. You know, honest people were like, all right, you know, I don't like this Fauci guy. Maybe he shouldn't have been on television all the time. So many Trump supporters couldn't deal with it. So they're like, no, Trump exposed Fauci. He gave him power. He was just giving him power to expose him. The only way to take somebody down is to build them up. You got to make them big to make them small. Trump's putting Fauci on a pedestal to take him off the pedestal. Trump's fighting Fauci by giving Fauci power. Trump's really, really playing chess. It's like, this is the pathetic MAGA movement now. It's like, you can't just admit, it's like, yeah, I'm not a fan of Fauci. I kind of wish Trump didn't, like, because obviously Fauci might not be able to be fired, but Trump didn't have to put him on television every day. These were Trump's press conferences. Trump made the coronavirus task force. He gave Fauci more power than Fauci's ever had in his life. Trump did. An honest person would be like, yeah, maybe we should have done that. But, like, Or even you could say he should have done that. I don't even care if people like Fauci. I don't like him, but the sad fake excuses that Trump supporters make, because they like, do you know how many times in the last year I've heard Trump put Fauci up there to take him down? Fauci's not going anywhere, dum-dums. It's like you just wish Fauci was going somewhere. So you make up excuses saying that Trump's playing 5D chess. It's pathetic. It really is. Like, I like, I like certain basketball players, but like, I'm not this delusional. Like, oh my God, LeBron James, he lost to win. He purposely lost. I mean, LeBron James lost the playoffs because he wants to win the playoffs. He purposely lost because he's going to win 3 times in a row and make it more. It's like, guys, I've never seen such a pathetic, sad movement. Really, it's getting that bad. It's like, it's getting like liberal level of delusion. Like, man, Fauci, he's really showing off. Fauci, you got to expose. He gave him power. That would be like saying, oh, let's let Hillary Clinton win president so she could be exposed. We have to expose her by giving her everything she wants. The only way we can beat Hillary Clinton is by getting beat by Hillary Clinton. It's like, no, stop lying to yourself. Like, is this really the MAGA movement now? I had so much faith and so much optimism in it. It's like, how many times have I heard that? Maybe like 10,000 times. Like, nah, what if Fauci was put on a pedestal so Trump could expose him to the whole world, so the whole world could go against Fauci? It's like, people already knew who Fauci was during his little AIDS epidemic situation. So this idea that Fauci rising to national fame is some sort of like exclusive thing that Trump did. No, he did the same nonsense during the AIDS epidemic and he got away with it. And just like he did now, it's like, it's so sad, is it not? Someone said, just like they think the military's in charge. I'm not trying to be mean, but these are mostly very cowardly people. I debated somebody yesterday who was talking shit to me on Twitter. We had a debate. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just mumbling and bumbling. He apologized to me after. He said, you destroyed me. I didn't know what I was talking about. These people just love the attention on Twitter. Oh, patriots, here we go. Behind the computer, these are cowardly people who are too afraid to do anything in their own life. So they sit there and they're leaders of a movement leading MAGA moms into thinking the military's in control. These are some of the worst people in the Republican Party. Someone said, what's the answer? Stop losing. Already formatted and sent. Grow Love Bear, thank you. I appreciate it. I can't lose any. I don't like to lose. And I don't call people losers to be mean. It's like, if you love losing, you're a loser. I'm not losing. I don't want to lose the country. If you want to lose the country, what's the point? Like, this is where I almost, in a weird way, I almost respect Democrats more. Not because I agree with anything they say. They don't like America. Democrats don't even pretend to like America. They hate America. A lot of them hate white people. I'm just being honest. They hate conservatives. And if you're a minority conservative, they hate you too. So they hate a lot of people. They don't even pretend to like America. I almost respect them more. They're like, I hate this country. We were founded on genocide. I'm like, okay, at least I know where they stand. They don't like the country. And I know they don't like the country. Republicans pretend to like the country. And then when you tell them why the country's getting duped, they get all upset. It's like, I respect the Democrat who says, I hate America. You genocided Native Americans, more than I respect the Republican saying we're patriots fighting the deep state by saying the military's in control and inflation's a secret plan to fight Fauci, Nasera, Gacera. Trump did Operation Warp Speed to give us the vaccines. Like, it's my own fault because I should be calmer, but I seriously despise Republicans now more than Democrats because of that reason. They're so fake. At least the Democrats hate America openly. Republicans pretend like they're doing something and they don't do shit, and then they get mad if you actually try to do something. The philosopher said, love that you're valuing individual liberty more and more. Inflation is theft, and so is taxation. I agree. I agree with the libertarians on this one. Inflation is theft, and so is the CARES Act was theft. Shutting down your business is theft. Taxes are theft. I agree. I agree completely with every libertarian on this issue. Every time they print money, every time they lock stuff down, they're just stealing more freedom and more money from you. I agree. I agree 1,000,000%. Someone said, I'm not sure bashing the movement itself is the right thing to do. You might be right. This might be the totally wrong thing to do. This might be terrible, but I want to say this. When I debated this guy who thinks the military is in control, I think for the most part, he was way out of his league. I apologized to him because I felt bad. I was a little harsh. And he said, no, thank you. He said, iron sharpens iron. So this guy who thinks the military is in control, I crushed him. He didn't know what he was talking about. He thanked me. He said, iron sharpens iron. That's what I'm trying to do, the conservative party. Iron sharpens iron. I'm trying to bring some iron. You can get mad at me. I want to sharpen the Republican Party. Babying the Republican Party is not going to work. Just like babying the Democrats are not going to work. Just like pandering to communities is not going to work. The Republicans pander, the left panders. Iron sharpens iron. So I might be wrong. This might be a terrible thing to do. It might backfire miserably, but I believe iron sharpens iron. And the Republican Party, they don't need to be babied. Maybe they do, but I'm over it. Okay. I see the writing on the wall for this country. And the reason that nothing's going to happen is because of Republicans. Democrats, I don't even care about them anymore. No offense. I like them as people, some of them, but I'm just saying politically, I've written the Democrats off. Okay. These people, we don't share the same values. We don't share the same love and appreciation of freedom. We don't share. So the Democrats, unfortunately, politically, I've written them off. This is why I go hard at the Republican Party. This is supposed to be the side that's going to do something. How are we going to do something if our side's not doing what they say they're doing? We're not. Iron sharpens iron. So if Republicans want to get tough and get smart, something will happen. I'll give you an example on big tech, okay? Governor Abbott is going to run again in Texas, and Governor Abbott was recently promoted by Donald Trump. He was endorsed. Donald Trump endorsed Governor Abbott. All the Republicans do is tell you we're fighting big tech, we're fighting big tech, we're fighting censorship, we're fighting for free speech. That's what their mouth says, right? We're fighting big tech. We're fighting. That's all the Republicans say. That's what Trump says. Trump endorsed Governor Abbott after he wrote some sort of bill and held it up to the camera and said, we need to stop anti-Semitism on platforms. That's why we're stopping anti-Semitism on Gab. If you guys don't know, Gab is one of the only Christian-owned, conservative-owned platforms who stands up for free speech and says that hate speech doesn't exist. I'm sure there's some things they censor, but do they censor racist, xenophobia, anti-Semitism, anti-Islam? No, they don't do any of that because they're a free speech network. It doesn't mean they home anti-Semitism. There's thousands of Jews who use Gab and don't see a bit of anti-Semitism because they don't follow people who say certain things. How are you going to win a battle against censorship when your party is the one censoring? You're not. And they're not even trying to fight big tech. They're lying to you. Governor Abbott is trying to take out the only Christian conservative owned app that doesn't do hate speech laws. And I'll tell you what, all these controlled Rumble, and I like Rumble, but they're passing the same anti-Semitism hate speech laws because that's what the Republicans do. They're fakes and they're phonies and they're trying to limit speech. So this is the point I'm trying to get across. You're never going to win a fight for freedom if your side isn't actually on your side, and they're not. Someone said at least in Florida is standing up against big tech. In some ways they are, and in some ways they're not. Ron DeSantis, I've said this before, they're all Zionists, and I wouldn't mind if people were Zionists if they just stopped selling America out, but they can't seem to do that. Ron DeSantis flew to Israel and passed an anti-free speech bill that goes in schools. So Ron DeSantis decides that hate speech has no place in schools. Read the bill and read the laws. They're based off of these laws that were passed years ago. It's like 20 rules that you can't say about Jewish people. So if you're talking about Christians, you can say whatever you want. If you're talking about Hindus, you can say whatever you want. If you're talking about Sikhs, in a free country, you can say whatever you want. But when it comes to Jewish people, religious and atheists, you can't say that they control the media. That's one of the hate speech rules. If you say that Jewish people control the media, that's a mendacious and dehumanizing conspiracy theory that is very harmful. So that's what Ron DeSantis passed into law. He's not really fighting for free speech either. So is he doing more than most? Yes. Do I appreciate it? Yes. Is he unabashedly fighting for the Constitution? Absolutely not. And none of them are. And they never will because nobody wants to admit they're doing it. And they do it. And nobody cares. I know these people don't care. Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, they don't care. They like it. They're in on it. Every Zionist not everyone, but most of them, every powerful Zionist in the Republican Party, which is almost all of them, This is what they do. They pretend to fight free speech. They support speech regulations. They support speech laws. They go after social media companies who don't support their speech laws, which are unconstitutional. And then they get on stage and tell you they're fighting big tech while they're having dinner with big tech. Sorry, that's what they're doing. Someone says, should we support Rand Paul? I don't care who people support. I just want to tell people, if you realize that it's happening and say something about it and don't just cheer it on, they'll do something. I can't tell people what to do. I don't know what to do. I have a platform. I have a big voice. I have a lot of sway. So I say what I need to say, and that has an impact. Everyone doesn't have a platform, but what you do have is your brain and your mouth. So you could tell this to other conservatives and other Republicans, and you could show proof of it and look it up for yourself. So it's not just my word. And if enough Republicans care about it, then it stops. But the Republican Party are masters of just running you in circles. No one cares about inflation. They care about the audits, and they care about Cuba. Every week it's a new little thing where you're running to but you never address these issues. So they never stop. They never will stop. They don't have to stop. So someone said, God, it's not wrestling people. Someone said we must rebel. I'm talking peacefully and simply. You just have to be honest. That's really it. That's why the old wise people used to say, change yourself to change the world. If you're fighting the radical left all the time, it doesn't matter, because your party's becoming the radical left and you're fighting them and you don't even realize it's happening. If every Trump supporter and conservative, or at least 50%, changed themselves, this would all go away. You don't have to go to a Capitol event that's going to hurt somebody or end up getting you set up. You don't have to rebel in any sort of, just stop believing this bullshit. And if everybody didn't believe this bullshit, they wouldn't be spewing it. The only reason they spew it is because people eat it up. Look how big the rallies are. Look how nobody says anything. I've been to a rally, but I've been saying this since 2019, and I've been alone. If I wasn't alone, and I'm not the only one who knows this, the other influencers don't care. And I've told you this for 2 years. I know most of these people. They know this stuff. They just don't give a shit, because when you say what I say, it's not popular, because the Republican Party is overwhelmingly Zionist, and the Zionists are overwhelmingly anti-free speech. They don't really believe in free speech. They want to shut down any speech that goes against their agenda, and they don't really believe in it. So people understand on the Republican side, especially on the influencer side and the TV side, if you speak the truth about how Republicans are giving up free speech, you're going to lose a lot of support, a lot of deals, a lot of, you don't want to seem hateful, right? It's the same thing as saying something about the crime rate. If you're a liberal, say you notice San Francisco has a lot of crime. Say you notice a lot of the crime are not white supremacists. If you were to say that to your liberal friends, it's true, but they'd call you a racist, right? If you said, hey, why is so much violent crime done by, I thought it was done by like Trump supporters, but it's really not. If you were to say that as a liberal, they look at you and say, what are you, a racist? If you were a liberal and you said, I think border security actually makes sense, they would say, what are you, a xenophobe? So this is the same thing the left does. They self-censor out of fear of being outcasted from the movement. And the same thing happens in the Republican Party. If you identify the fact that DeSantis and Trump and Governor Abbott, they're all pushing speech regulations for a cause that, in my opinion, is totally unconstitutional and does not in any way, shape, or form help Jewish people. It's for the wealthy and the powerful and the people who donate to them. They'll call you an anti-Semite. So the reason that you don't see a lot of Trump supporters talk about this, they don't want to get called an anti-Semite in the same way that the left doesn't want to get called a racist or a xenophobe. It's called self-censorship. And anybody who speaks about this stuff is outcasted, is blacklisted, and the right-wing media machine will try to ruin your life, just like they did to a lot of people who've talked about this stuff before me. So someone said, so the lawsuit Trump has brought against big tech censorship on our First Amendment is just a bunch of BS. I can't speak on the lawsuit, but I don't know what the lawsuit is. I don't know what results it's going to get. But Trump himself, DeSantis himself, they pass anti-Semitism speech laws. So if he sues big tech, hopefully he wins. But if he himself doesn't believe in the free speech values, even if he wins a lawsuit, yeah, you're not going to get full-fledged free speech because he doesn't believe in it, and neither does the Republican Party. So I'm not going to say that the lawsuit is bullshit, but I would say that they're all full of shit, that they don't really believe in free speech. And the reason I say this stuff, guys, if you look up the laws, I've said this a bunch of times, I could read them aloud. Look up the anti-Semitism speech laws. There's like 15 of them, and most of them are not things that should be censored, okay? I don't think most things should be censored, but it's not what you think it is. It's like, if you say that Jewish people killed Jesus, that's hate speech. If you say there's any blood libel going on, that's hate speech. If you say that Jewish people own media, that's hate speech. Like, that's the things that they're saying. If you say, as a Christian, talk about Jewish people killing Jesus at one time, if that's your theory or you think that that's what the Bible says or whatever, that's hate speech, according to the anti-Semitism speech laws that Trump, DeSantis, and Abbott are pushing. And also, if you identify that there's a lot of Jewish people that own media, it doesn't mean you hate all Jewish people in the world. It just means you know how to use Wikipedia in the early life section, and you've identified that Jewish people overwhelmingly are crushing when it comes to media ownership. That's just a factual statement. But now that fact is known as hate speech. Someone said it won't protect Christian laws. There are no Christian laws because every Zionist, Trump, DeSantis, they don't pass Christian laws because, I'm sorry, they just don't really care about Christians that much. If they did, they would pass a speech law for every religion, but they don't because they throw Christians under the bus always. That's all they do. And they pretend they're standing up for you. Churches burning. Oh, well, we'll stop it sometimes by passing an anti-Semitism speech law. I have no problem with Israel. I have no problem with Jewish people. I have a problem with Republicans who pass speech laws for only one religion. And to be quite frank, most of the people that will get protection from the religious bill aren't even religious. It's a race. It's an ethnic group that most people are atheists and don't even believe in God. Nothing wrong. I mean, in my opinion, I don't care what you do and don't believe, but that's not the Constitution, folks. It's not what it doesn't say pass laws for one group of people only, but not your own religion and your own race. That's how you get screwed. That's why our country's going south. There is no party really fighting for you that much. The left is selling you out, and the right is selling you out 75% and 25% fighting for you, but you think they're fighting for you 95%. And we're never going to save this country if people don't get that. And I don't even want to say this stuff all the time because it's not popular. And to be quite frank, it's not desirable to talk about it so often, but I'm trying to get the point straight. It's like people are never going to get what they think they're getting because no one's doing it. I'm not saying that everyone's fake as far as like nothing they do is right. A lot of things they do is right, but all right, one more thing and I got to go. Thank you, Thai Nation. Thank you, Zane. And eventually, I'll just say this, folks. Eventually, I love all people. I don't care what race you are, religion you are. Eventually, these anti-Semitism laws, if you read them thoroughly and you go to the State Department website and read what they say, eventually these laws that DeSantis is passing, Trump is passing, all the Republican support, most of them, they're going to make the Bible illegal. I guarantee you that. Because if you read Revelation and you read the two parts that talk about the synagogue of Satan, that is just in the Bible. I didn't write the Bible. Those could technically be considered hate speech. So you have Christian Republicans passing laws that will make the Bible illegal, just like the left is. So if you're a Christian, you should read the laws and ask yourself, how many of these laws make the Bible hate speech and illegal? That's what they're doing. The Republican Party, not just the Democrats. When they say you can't talk about sodomy or homosexuality, the Democrats are doing the same thing. They're making the Bible illegal. They're making it illegal to read what's in the Bible. I don't care if you agree with it. I don't care if you disagree with it. But the Bible in America should not be illegal. It should not be illegal to read what's in the Bible. And if you read Revelations, it will now be illegal based on the anti-Semitism laws that DeSantis is passing, because they're not organic, authentic laws that make sense. It's a bunch of bullshit to stop you from saying things that they don't want you to say. That's what it is. You could say the Romans killed Jesus. You could say Jewish people killed Jesus. Not all of the Romans killed Jesus. Not all of the Jewish people were involved, but a lot of people have a theory of who it was who killed Jesus exactly. Some people say the Romans. Some people say it was other Jewish people involved. And yes, Jesus was Jewish himself, but it doesn't mean you hate everybody. There's a conversation being had in Christian circles about who killed Jesus. Not to blame them now, but you're not going to blame Rome for what happened 2,000 years ago, but there's a conversation being had. So if you say that, it's illegal now based on the anti-Semitism laws that Ron DeSantis, Donald Trump, and Governor Abbott are pushing, and Ted Cruz, and all of them. They're all pushing it. So this is why I say this stuff. Christians think they're fighting for freedom and fighting Cuba. Your own side isn't even doing what you think they're doing. And eventually you're going to realize this when you're trapped in a prison of not even being able to stand by the book that you believe in, the Bible. And it's already happening. Bryson Gray got kicked off of Spotify. Supporting Jesus Christ and what's in the Bible is now a bannable offense in music, and it's a bannable offense on the left. And the right wing is not only not stopping it, they're passing other speech laws against Christians. Someone said the men who wrote the books in the Bible, were they not Jewish? I don't know, but I'm just saying this. It's not about helping people. It would be like saying if you hate Black Lives Matter, you hate black people. If you don't want to be censored for talking about anything gay, you're a homophobe. It's the same thing. I don't have anything against Jewish people or Israel, but these anti-Semitism laws are not equivalent to liking Jewish people. Eventually, yes, they will shut down Jewish people too. Of course. You think you could be gay and disagree with the LGBT mafia? No, they hate you too. You think you could be Jewish and disagree with what they're doing? No, they'll hate you too. Of course it'll be used against Jewish people, just like speech laws are used against everybody. It's already been used against Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz supports these speech laws, and they called Ted Cruz an anti-Semite. Why did they call Ted Cruz an anti-Semite? Because he said that Michael Bloomberg owns a media company. Why did Ted Cruz say that? Because Michael Bloomberg owns a media company. And they said Ted Cruz is an anti-Semite. He's supporting one of these anti-Semitic tropes that Jewish people own the media. No, Ted Cruz was saying that Bloomberg owned Bloomberg because Bloomberg owns Bloomberg, just like Jeff Zucker owns CNN, just like a lot of media companies you'll find are owned by a certain group of people too. So is it anti-Semitic to say that Bloomberg owns Bloomberg? Of course not. It's a factual statement. But do I feel bad for Ted Cruz for being called an anti-Semite? Of course not, because Ted Cruz himself supports those anti-Semitic speech laws. He supports them. He gives them a green light. He signs off on them. And then they get used against him. Oh, I'm sorry, Ted Cruz. That's why you should stand by the Constitution, you complete fraud. And this is the whole Republican Party. Oh, well, they're going to call everybody that because they're not for you. You don't pass a speech law for America. That's not how this country works. So someone said it's all a WWE show. It's starting to feel like it, but I don't want to stay too much longer because I'm sure this stream has gone past its usefulness. But if people don't want to face what I'm saying about inflation or saying about this, it's not a doom and a gloom. It's just like there's two options. Either you face it and enough people face it, and then enough people facing it will make it shift, or you don't face it and it keeps happening. So I don't see another option unless you want to talk like Revelations, it's end times, whatever. But in America, either you face what's going on or you just keep being a part of the problem. You just keep saying, I don't want to hear it. You keep saying, Anomaly, shut up. It's a Democrat. It's this, it's that. And you keep pretending like it's not happening. That's never going to happen. Someone said Ted Cruz is quickly becoming a disappointment to American Texas Cowboys. The fact that he's not getting ratioed on all his posts is sad for me to see. The fact that he said he thinks vaccinated people should be able to take off their masks on planes and he didn't include unvaccinated, that just shows you who Ted Cruz really is. He's playing into vaccination segregation. He's playing into this idea that you don't deserve your freedom if you don't get vaccinated. He should be booed and shamed every single time he posts online until he apologizes for that. But people are giving his posts thumbs up. They're like, oh, Ted Cruz is fighting Cuba. Do you get it now? Ted Cruz supports vaccination segregation. Ted Cruz supports different sets of rules for the vaccinated and unvaccinated. And most of the Republican Party still thinks Ted Cruz is on their side. You deserve what's coming if you don't realize that you're being fooled. Someone said you are wrong about Ted Cruz. Wendy, you are wrong about what you just said. You're part of the problem. He supports a different set of rules for the vaccinated and unvaccinated on airplanes. He said it. And no one cares. Why don't you talk to Ted Cruz? Wendy, click the unfollow button, okay? Just click the unfollow button. I'm so tired of people. Why don't I talk to him? I don't know, Wendy. I don't have access to every senator I want to talk to at anytime I want. I'm not, I'm not Bianca or whatever her name is from Charlie and the Willy Wonka. It's mine, mine, mine. That's not how the world works. I can't just talk to Ted Cruz. I'm a tax-paying citizen. I'm an American citizen. I run a Facebook page. So I'm allowed, Wendy, to say Ted Cruz is bullshit for that. And that's what a real cowboy and a real patriot would do. Why are you defending vaccination segregation? Why don't I talk to Ted Cruz? Because he's not talking to me. I'm allowed to disagree with that. And if you have a problem with it, why do you think you deserve freedom if you cry when I say that that's bullshit? Next is the vaccine passport, and these people are going to sit on my page and say, Anomaly, it's for your health. Anomaly, the Republicans aren't doing the vaccine passport. It's only for the baseball game. It's only for the plane. It's only to go to Congress. It's only to go to work. It's only to go to the grocery store. I'm so freaking tired of you people. Just unfollow my page. I'm so tired. Stop already. Don't say that about Ted Cruz. Don't read his tweet where he believes in segregation between people who are vaccinated. Fuck Ted Cruz. I'll say it 5 times in a row. Excuse my language. Fuck Ted Cruz. If everybody said that, he'd have to apologize. They're fucking you guys over. And you not only don't care, you get mad when someone says something about it. This is why inflation's happening. This is why your kids' schools are being degenerated with LGBT propaganda and critical race theory. This is why you can't conserve shit. This is why Dallas turned blue. This is why Texas is shifting blue. This is why the whole country is 20 times as degenerate as it was 5 years ago. This is why both parties are printing money. This is why lockdowns happen. This is why Trump championed Operation Warp Speed. And this is why you're 2 years behind France with what they're doing there. Because people don't fucking care. They're so freaking pathetic. America has no spirit anymore. It was the home of the brave and the land of the free. We're not free anymore because there's no brave people anymore. Where are all the brave people? They don't exist. They just sit on Facebook and cry when I'm being brave, and I actually call out these fucking idiots. How are we ever supposed to get our freedom back when I'm explaining that your favorite politicians openly and publicly don't even support it, and you have a problem with it? Unfollow my page. I don't care. Someone's like, you lost following. I'm doing great, trust me. But if I did, I don't care. I'm not a slave. Someone said Texas ain't shifting blue. Latte Hana, should we look up? Let's look up an election real quick. Let's see. Republican. Let's see. Texas Senate election 2000. Let's look at the results. All right, here's the Texas Senate election in 2000. Kay Bailey Hutchinson won with 65% of the vote, okay, in 2000. The Democrat only got 32% of the vote. The Republican won for Senate in 2000 by 33% of the vote. Okay, so Republicans were blowing them out by 33%. Let's look at the 2018 Senate race. Let's see. Ted Cruz got 50.9% of the vote, 50.9, and Beto O'Rourke got 48.3%. So you went from winning elections by 33% to less than 2% or 2%. Democrats are not gaining steam in Texas. It's like you guys want to lose. It's so crazy to me because I love Texas. I love the Texas spirit. I love the Second Amendment. But Texans, like Republicans, are obsessed with losing. It's like, no, we're not losing the state. Okay. What do you think happens if you go from winning elections by 33%, where it's not even a debate, to literally almost losing to Beto O'Rourke, who looks like a 15-year-old wannabe pro skater? You're not losing. It's like you want to lose. I don't understand the mentality. If I lived in Texas, which I don't, I would want to hear what I'm saying. I'm a Republican. I'm a cowboy. I live in Texas. I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose. Let's win. No, we're winning. We're going to win. Okay, then lose. I don't understand. Someone said by fraud. Guys, it's not just fraud. It's also demographic change, which they're purposely doing. And it's also people losing Republican or Democrat states to go to Texas. And then they're going to fuck up your state just like they did California. It's a lot more than fraud. I would be willing to say that fraud is some of it, but you're losing your state. Just like you lost Dallas, just like you lost Austin, just like you lost all the major. You're losing. Latte Hana said we ain't losing. Okay, Latte Hana, going from winning by 33% to 2% is totally normal. That's really good. So I don't know. Let's see, 33%, 2%. I'm sure that you'll win every election from here on out. I'm sure a Democrat will never win in Texas. I hope a Democrat never wins in Texas. I hope the revolution's going the other way. But at a certain point, you have to identify the problem if you want to correct it. If you don't want to identify it, then just lose. I don't understand. Like, someone said millions of Democrats have moved here from New York and California. You're damn right that's happening. It's not just fraud. Yeah, there's some people who cheat in elections, but millions of Democrats are leaving New York and millions of Democrats are leaving California for Texas. It's really happening. And they're really going there and they're really going to vote. The Republican Party is like filled with excuses and lies and copes. It's like, someone said Californians are moving to Texas and voting blue. You're damn right that's happening. You're damn right that's happening. Any honest person knows that that's happening. But it's like, here's my opinion. If the referee screws up, okay, as an athlete, yeah, the referee screwed up, but there's also the whole game. So yeah, the referee screwed up, but we should win by more. If you're winning elections by 33%, how come they couldn't rig it then? Because it wasn't possible, probably because there were too many Republican voters. Now, when you're in the margin of 2% losing to Beto O'Rourke, now it's a lot easier to swing an election. So the best thing you could do is identify reasons that you can control. Do your audit, no damn straight. But millions of Democrats are also moving to Texas. You don't even want to acknowledge that? Then you're going to lose. This would be like me in a halftime. We're down 20. What happened? Well, the ref tripped me and this happened and this happened and the fans are yelling at me. It's like, take some accountability. Take some accountability. Yes, the Democrats are doing all sorts of messed up stuff. Yes, all this stuff happened, but you have to take some accountability. Someone said all conservatives should leave California for swing states. I'm hoping we could swing California. If California is going to swing, it's going to be during a recall election. This is like the best way to possibly swing it. Someone said, I live in Dallas, Fort Worth, and Texas is going blue 100%. The amount of out-of-state license plates I see every day is insane. I'm moving to Arkansas because I'm done with people like blind Latte Hana sitting on their laurels. Promise, I appreciate it. We love you, Latte Hana. But it's like, yeah, Dallas, Fort Worth is supposed to be red. It is. And it's turning liberal. And people are leaving to go to Arkansas. And Latte Hana, we love you. But it's like, yeah, we're winning. It's like, I'm not saying this because I don't like Texas. I'm saying this because I do like Texas. And if Texas goes blue, our whole country is screwed. Florida is winning by this much. Florida, I mean, I like Ron DeSantis for what it's worth, but Florida's barely winning. You know, you're not in the seat like, oh my God, we're gonna win, MAGA, MAGA, MAGA. It's like you're this close to losing. And I said this in 2016, like Trump won 4 or 5 states by this much. Yeah, he won by a lot, but when you win 4 states by this much, you want to really make sure you win by more, because someone said swing it. I hope we swing California, but listen, I like where I live in California. It's conservative, but it's also swinging liberal, okay? Where I live in California is a conservative area that used to be way more conservative, that is now turning liberal and voting for liberals. And to be quite frank, the Republican in my area might as well be a liberal because he doesn't really do shit. So I appreciate what my area provides for me, but I don't just sit there and get mad if somebody talks about my sitting member. It's like, no, they suck too. Like, they act like they're doing this thing, and then they get along with the people who are making vaccine passports. They're trying to pass vaccine passports in my conservative county in California, and we all know the bullshit they're going on. And my mayor sits there and acts like he's on our side, and then he's all goody-goody with the people who are doing it. So I like him for who he is, and I appreciate him. But overall, if enough people identified that this is happening, there'd be like, okay, well, let's stop this from happening, or let's stand up to it, and let's call it out. How are we going to call it out when people don't want to hear about it? Someone said, I'm leaving for California to Oklahoma. I'm staying for the recall, but I'm probably going to buy property in a state. And to be honest, I'm not going to Texas, and I probably won't even go to Florida. I'll probably try to go somewhere that's way more red. Wyoming is the most red state. I know Idaho's pretty red. You know, I'd rather go there than Texas, because with the energy of that, Texas is going to go blue too. Someone said we all need to be tracked 24/7. South Dakota is very cool. Someone said, wrong, Dallas-Fort Worth hasn't been red this century. Really no large metro area in any state is, for that matter. I heard Dallas-Fort Worth was more conservative, but I guess it's not even red anymore too. And I want to say this too real quick, because maybe I'm a dreamer. Maybe I'm doing too much. Maybe I'm totally wrong. But I know 2 people who left California. I'm not going to say their names. I don't think they would even care. These are people I really like, okay? They moved to go live in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, and they said, I'm free. And both of them got robbed. Both of them got their car jacked. They steal a little piece of expensive metal in it or whatever. I forget what it is. Both of them got, basically robbed and had their car broken in Fort Worth. So it's like they leave California to go to the promised land of Texas. Oh, it's so safe and free here, and we have guns. And they both get their car jacked, where I'm thinking to myself, like, this is not the America I want to live in. You run away. There's going to be nowhere left to run anymore. Even the suburbs where I grew up, it's not as safe as they used to be, because now the crime is spreading out and they're realizing where to target, who has money and who's not ready for it. So the country, in my opinion, is declining. It's been worse at a certain point. Maybe I'm a dreamer, but I don't want it to decline. I'm sorry. It's like, I don't think this is normal. I don't want Dallas-Worth to be shitty. I don't want my county to be shitty, and it's getting shittier. So maybe I'm crazy, but what if we just stop making excuses for why it's getting shitty and just stopped it from getting shitty and created a movement of that? Because most people will agree with you if you actually hold your ground. I'll give you another example. Patriot J and Bryson Gray, they made a song called Safe Space. And in that song, they talked about everything that you shouldn't say, right? Every conspiracy theory, every, trans thing. Like, it was a whole song filled with right-wing talking points that they knew were controversial, and they put every single one of them in one song. That song got banned from Spotify. There's a reason I'm bringing it up, okay? Someone on Snapchat, they have like a Snapchat featured story. They did a story on it, and they actually did an unbiased interpretation of what was going on. Believe it or not, some liberal did an unbiased interpretation of it. And at the end of it, it said, do you agree with Bryson or do you agree with the censorship? Most people agreed with Bryson Gray and Patriot J. So they said every messed up thing or everything you shouldn't say, every conspiracy theory, every right-wing talking point. They said every mean thing that they could say against liberals. And most people agreed with it. It's actually popular to shut down this degeneracy. It's only the Republican Party who thinks that they have to pander. We have to have a big tent for Caitlyn Jenner, but not for Nick Fuentes. So how are you going to be right wing if you kick out other right wingers, but you allow people that morally disagree with you? Either you got to be a big tent for everyone, or stick to your morals. How are you going to be a big tent for liberals, but not for? They don't make any sense. You don't have to pander so much. And the reason the right wing loses is because they're not even trying to win. They're not even trying to win. You think they're trying to win? They're not even trying to win. They're trying to lose gracefully. They're trying to keep their power and lose ground, lose your morals, but keep their position. That's what the GOP is trying to do. They're not even trying to win. They're trying to keep their money and keep their power and lose ground, but lose ground to the point where you think they're not. That's all they're trying to do. It's up to us to hold our ground. That's why I respect people like Nick, and I respect people like Bryson, regardless of how hateful people think Bryson Gray is. I respect him 1,000 times more than I respect these other conservatives, because they don't stand for anything and they're afraid to rock the boat. He said all the things that right wingers are afraid to say, and more people agreed with him than not in a liberal platform. That just shows you a lot of people behind closed doors, they're tired of this shit. Who wants to get robbed? Who wants to live in an area that's unsafe? Who wants to see murder and theft increase? Nobody. So it's time for the GOP to do something instead of losing in slow motion. So I don't mean to yell at my own people who follow me, but if you're trying to conserve this idea that you're winning and conserve this losing mentality, I'm over it. I do not want to lose, and I'm not losing. I that's the mentality I have. So I could be nicer, but I don't want every stream to end like this. So I said, base component said, land of the fee, home of the slave. When the government is too big and corrupt for voting to matter, could this be another 1776? Are we too far gone? I'm not even going to answer that, but I mean, those are not the only two options. And in general, I think you should be smart about what you say, because to me, once again, I have to say that sounds like a setup question. It's like anomaly. Is it time for capital number 2? It's like, no, stop. Is it time for peaceful, honest, legitimate? But don't super chat me if you're going to say some shit like that, because that just sounds, I'm not accusing you of that, but it just sounds like somebody who wants to set me up. I know people want to say stuff like that, but you got to understand, in my opinion, it's not the time for talk like that, in my opinion, because they're already setting people up, trying to say people are terrorists, trying to say people are going to do stuff like the Capitol. So if you read stuff like that, you're not only going to get yourself in trouble, but you're going to get me in trouble. So I would be smart if I were you, understanding what's happening, unless you want to go to prison. Be a little bit smarter about what you're saying. And maybe not. Some people like to say whatever they want, but there's also people in prison right now because they followed Trump to the Capitol. So. No, I don't think people are shills or anything. I'm just saying, people say certain things. You got to understand, I'm being heavily scrutinized right now, and so is everybody. You're all being heavily scrutinized. You just don't know it. So when you're being heavily scrutinized, they're looking for a reason to do stuff to you. So you have to understand the arena we're in right now. We're in this arena where the 6th event was a total disaster. There was an event where people did stuff. I think it was sketchy on all sides. There were police letting them in. I agree with you that it was sketchy and suspect, but in general, that happened, and they're using that to say that Trump supporters are violent. Trump supporters want to do this. Trump supporters want to do that. And they're then using that to throw people in jail, investigate people, raid people, interrogate people, and in some cases, even spy on people. So when they're doing that, if you're smart, you got to understand the arena you're playing in. If you have these views that are similar to Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump, they are not pleased with you right now, and they are trying to make you look like that. So if you leave comments that say, is it time for 1776? I'm like, I don't know. Is it time for you to get arrested and sit in a federal prison? Because that's what they're already trying to do to you. So if you start saying stuff and providing rhetoric for that type of stuff, and then someone does something, you're going to end up in prison. And I'm not trying to scare you, but it's like, be smart about what you're saying, because they're already trying to do that. And especially to me on my page, if I then read it or they try to frame it as me, I'm going to get in trouble. So it's like, it's not the time for just wildly talking. Like, you're not really going to do anything. So why even say that publicly? Someone said optics, 1,000% optics, but also 1,000% being smart about it, because I really truly believe this is not just a cop out. I believe there's a peaceful solution to this all, but it requires people to just stand their ground and not comply. It's really that simple to me. Non-compliance could do more than any sort of violence could ever do, in my real opinion. But in general, it's like, people are just investigated right now. So you should be smart enough to not want to publicly basically ask if it's time to do, another thing like that. Like, that's really stupid. And it's not just stupid for you, it's stupid for me. And I'm not trying to be mean, but it's like, the stakes are high right now. That's just what we live in. So it is what it is. And I'm not trying to be mean, and I'm not trying to brush it off, but I'm just saying, for your own sake, be smart. Because there's hundreds of people who thought that they were going to an event where Mike Pence was going to overturn the election, and they thought they were just a part of a peaceful protest, and they're sitting in prison right now, and there's hundreds of people who, to be honest, didn't really even do anything illegal or wrong, and their whole life was ruined because they followed people with rhetoric that was extreme, and in general, just actions that were not wise in a few. So just be very wise. I'm saying this for your own benefit, because it's not the time to be loosely suggesting ideas when the whole premise of what they're doing in order to nullify the right wing is to use that event, expand it, and probably hope that something like that happens again. Because the Capitol event, what are people doing in the Capitol? What do you think you're going to do? You think Mike Pence is going to listen to you because you're in the Capitol? No, you're going to sit in federal prison, and your family's never going to see you again, and your whole life's going to be ruined. Like, that's not an effective way to combat the system. It's just not going to work. So speaking about it now, they could look at you and say, oh, this person's planning that event, and they could probably come after you just for saying that. And I'm not trying to scare you in general, because it's anonymous or whatever, but it's like, be very smart about what you say, especially nowadays. And I make mistakes too. I'm not a perfect person. I'm just saying, like, for your own sake, like, people don't think anymore. And I see so many people, it's like they're so desperate to replay what just screwed us over for the next couple of years. They're like, in August, he's coming back. I'm like, are you going to go to a protest in August? That's going to be another setup event, and something's going to happen, and then everyone's going to get blamed for it. Like, just be very wise, because I don't want to see people get arrested. I don't want to see people get investigated, and I don't want to see people get hurt and do something stupid or even think about it, because it's just not the time to say certain stuff like that. Someone said, why is Antifa not in jail? Some of them are, but here's the thing. It's not a fair playing field. They don't treat you the same that they treat Black Lives Matter. They could do the same thing to Black Lives Matter. I don't know if they are, but they can investigate every leader at Black Lives Matter. And to be quite honest, I think people who were outside the Capitol that didn't go in and didn't even know about it are less complicit than the BLM, who kept going day after day after day, knowing damn well at night that those communities were going to get raided. But here's the thing. We don't live in a fair world. I'm not saying it's right, but they hate you, I'm sure, more than they hate Black Lives Matter and Antifa. So you can do two things. Know that that's the playing field that we live on, or act like, it's the same. It's not the same. And I'm not saying it's right, but I don't expect them to treat me like BLM or whatever. I know that they'd rather me be BLM than a Trump supporter, but knowing that, I move a little different. I would do the same thing anyway, because I'm not a follower, and I'm not one. I wouldn't break the law at a protest. I would be smarter than that, I think, because I've seen people do that at protests. There's always a protester, even at left-wing protests. Someone wants to jump in the street or, stop traffic. To me, I never do that shit. But in general, someone said situational awareness. Exactly. And I think a lot of people are unaware, but the stakes are very, very high. And unfortunately, I learned, I won't even say the hard way because I had nothing to do with it, but I've already been somewhat, people tried to tie me to that event where I, unfortunately got a phone call trying to ask questions and tie me to that event, where it's not very fun, especially when you weren't there, had nothing to do with it, and weren't even in the state. It starts to make you wonder why, Like, really? Did you really think I knew something? Because I know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, or because I know somebody who's there. Yeah, everybody knows somebody who is there, probably. At least if you support Trump and there's a thing with 100,000 people, in my opinion, 99% of people there probably had no idea that that was going to happen. But also, I wasn't there, so I can't say what people are thinking, because I don't think a lot of them were thinking straight to begin with. I think if they were thinking straight, they never would have thought Mike Pence was going to save them. So I can't speak on behalf of these people. But, things get real, even for Tucker Carlson. I mean, he's getting allegedly spied on for trying to conduct an interview that MSNBC did, and so like, we're not in the same playing field. But I think it's just wise to try to watch your steps and stuff. Someone said I was going to say be careful. I'm not paranoid, and I'm not scared, and I'm not fearful or anything, but it's like and I apologize to somebody, I think it was Sonny the other day. Certain people say something in the chats. I'm not accusing you of saying it purposely or something. I'm just saying, for your sake, watch what you're saying, and for my sake, watch what you're saying, because me reading a super chat could get me in a lot of trouble, and it could get other people in trouble. And one example of that, I think, is and I mean, he deserves a little accountability, but in general, Nick Fuentes, I think it was a super chat, or somebody chatted him a question and he made a joke out of it. And that joke happened to deal with one of the most sensitive issues in World War II. But I don't think it was something he was even talking about. He read a super chat, and now left-wing and right-wing news outlets, they've tried to ruin his life and smear him forever as a Holocaust denier because he read a super chat and then made a joke out of it. Which you could say it's right or wrong, but it's like, one super chat that I read could destroy my whole life, because they could accuse me of saying or thinking the same exact thing of it, whether I disagree or not. So that's just, it's unfortunate we live in that world, but we just do. Someone said, Nick, they got him with a super chat. Yeah, it was like a super chat that he read, where it's like that's been like a thing. But in general, in a free country, in my opinion, he should be able to say that, and he should be able to make that joke. The same way when Louis C.K., who's Jewish, so he got a pass, he went to Israel and he made a really messed up joke about the Holocaust too. And no one cared because he was Jewish, but a lot of people did care because it's a messed up joke. But Louis C.K. made a Holocaust joke in Israel, and people actually laughed at it. Was it messed up? Totally. But that's Louis C.K.'s brand of humor. He's always said, he used to say the N-word. Is that right or wrong? That's for you to decide. But like, that's what Louis C.K. used to do. He used to say the N-word. He made a Holocaust joke. He's Jewish. He made this joke. He'd make a sexual joke. That was his whole brand of comedy. So I don't know, like, what's off limits in comedy? I thought nothing, but apparently right-wingers don't want you to talk about abortion. These people don't want you to talk about World War II, and they don't want to talk about homosexuality. And now comedy doesn't exist anymore because both sides are too sensitive. On that note, with Nick Fuentes, he made a similar joke that Louis C.K. made. He's not Jewish, so it comes off worse. And he wasn't in Israel, so it didn't hit as hard. But in general, is he not allowed to do humor about that? I guess not. They try to ruin his whole career and his life. It doesn't work because he has a big audience, but off of that joke. And to me, I see why people do it. I get why they're upset, but I don't know. I used to listen to Anthony Jeselnik. He used to talk about disgusting, screwed up things. That was kind of the whole shtick. It wasn't like he would really do that. I would hope not, but that was his shtick. So Louis C.K. can't have a shtick anymore. Nick Fuentes can't have a shtick. It's like, they'll come for me too. So I try to defend other people, not everything that they do or say, because I don't know everything that they do or say, but, for simple free speech principles, because, that's happening in the press. And also, after the insurrection, so-called, they're trying to overanalyze everything that happens, and they got more eyes on you than they probably ever had, waiting for you to say something that they could deem as, a call to action or a call to violence. And doesn't mean you shouldn't have free speech, but I do think it means people should be wise about what they say and when they say it, and me included, because I probably said some stupid shit too. Someone said Anthony's such a funny guy. I really liked him when I was younger. I haven't heard him a lot, but yeah, Anthony Jeselnik, like his whole his whole comedy routine was like, it was like this baby, like he would say like messed up stuff, but like at the time I thought it was really funny. I didn't think he actually did what he said, but that was like his whole act. I don't know. I thought that was comedy, but I guess I was wrong. Someone said Ted Nugent, cat scratch fever. Shout out Ted Nugent. Someone said back in the day when comedy was still comedy. All right, I'm going to take off. God bless you guys. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. I'm going to have a video done for tomorrow, most likely, but I'm going to take a break on the live streams. I'm fine. I was in a good mood today, but I got to figure out what to do. Maybe I should just cut my live streams off short and not have conversations with people because clearly I'm not handling it properly, but I don't understand the whole losing mentality thing. Like I get it, but I can't even talk about inflation without people accusing me of being a Democrat. I can't talk about, money printing that happened last year. People call me a rhino and I sold out. It's like, there's no conversation I can have. It's like people just want something generic and basic. So I guess I just need to take a few days, think about stuff and figure out if I even want to do this back and forth anymore. Cause I do enjoy it, but at a certain point it becomes counterproductive and not fun. If people can't handle it, I wish they would just unfollow the page, but apparently their whole political life revolves around not only not doing anything, but supporting people vehemently who are not doing anything. And when I accurately point out that they're not doing what they think they're doing, they wig out and cry about me. I don't know. It's getting old because it's happened for a year and a half now. I'm strong. I'm happy. Life is good. I'm working on a video later. I'm just tired of having the same conversation over and over. And I've said this, and it's not like a new thing, but I've been tired of this since March, where it's like I can't just have the same arguments on loop for a year and a half. So something needs to give. If people aren't going to stop, and this is something that they're addicted to losing, they're addicted to printing money and then crying about the left printing money when their politicians literally printed just as much money the last year and they don't even know, but they don't want to know, then I got to figure something out because I can't, I don't want to deal with it that much longer. But God bless you guys. God bless your family. Tomorrow, video out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you. Thank you to everybody supporting. I see you and I appreciate you. And thank you to everybody who going to usaproductsonly.com. I put a lot of time into that. And, one day we hope to turn a profit, but we're really just pumped out. We spent a lot of time just getting traffic to USA businesses. And we hope to have the biggest USA distributor. We really hope to get there, not distributor, but aggregate where you could click on other businesses. We have 160 now. There's some good ones you probably never would have found, woodworkers, toys, etc. Thank you to everybody going there. Thank you to everybody who are submitting to that. It's a fun side project that we feel really good about because regardless, it can't really fail. Even if it failed at this point, we never really expected that much. And we've already had results for a lot of small businesses. So it's cool. usaproducts.com, or I'm sorry, usaproductsonly.com. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, I have a clips channel. Click that. I'm gonna upload an interview with Bryson Gray to the clips channel. I think the full interview, and it's good. Bryson's similar to me, man. He's really tired of the MAGA movement and the GOP because every time he tries to put his foot down for something, he gets called all sorts of names. And I think despite what people think about Bryson Gray, he's actually reaching a lot of people, and not everyone needs to be babied, especially in the Black community. Everybody think like this LGBT like liberal overload. I don't think most Black people think it's like totally cool and woke. Like it's getting annoying. It's getting annoying even for liberals. So it's not the time to turn into a liberal. It's the time to just stop being so annoying and say what you really believe and having conviction. So I think Bryson does that. I'm gonna upload that interview. Everything else, appreciate you guys. I'll be here. And, I know I don't need to apologize, but I don't like to yell at people. I don't like to argue, especially text-based, because they're texting, I'm yelling. It's not a really good back and forth. Like it doesn't feel good, especially when I don't know specifically who I'm talking to. Some people probably get pissed at me. Some people don't even know. Sometimes it's a misunderstanding. So that's what I'm really trying to figure out while I take a break from streaming. It's not like I'm giving up. I'm not sad. I just need to figure out how to really fix this because I don't want to have the same argument over and over. I am, as a human being, just completely tired of people making stupid excuses for the decline of our country, and I'm definitely not backing down. So I just want to figure out a better way to, I guess communicate that, because some people enjoy it, and I'm not giving up, trust me, I'm fine. But it's not, I don't like to yell. I don't like to argue. I don't like to get that upset, but I seriously am just completely tired with how weak people are getting. And in general, it's not leading to anything good. And the solution is simple. It's they say strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. We just need stronger people. It's really that simple. And the same thing, iron sharpens iron. And the other thing that I was saying earlier, I already forgot, but it's if people didn't think that way, this could end overnight. We could combat all this nonsense by simply not playing along. So I think that's the solution, is that simple. So when someone comes to my strong approach to standing up against inflation with a weak approach of making excuses for it, my instinct is just to go hard after a year and a half. I'm tired of this weakness. If you're not going to do something, I am. So I can't just sit here and have these little side battles about, it's what if we just didn't think like that and we didn't make excuses for it? It would end tomorrow peacefully. It would all go away. So, I think the solution is really that simple, but so many people are dedicated to just fantasizing about what they wish it was, where it's not that hard. And these people are not babies. Trust me, Ted Cruz has had much worse than I've said to him. Liberals are nasty. Trump has had so many mean things said to him. You think Ted Cruz cares? I've already cursed. I might as well curse again. You think Ted Cruz cares if I say, fuck you, Ted Cruz? It probably he doesn't lose an ounce of sleep at night. And I'm not doing it to be mean, or it's he's dealt with worse. Enough people, if they stood up to Ted Cruz, he can handle it. He's a man. You don't have to do anything harsh. Just peacefully say, dude, what are you doing? It's that simple. Have a good day, guys. God bless you. And I'm out.